May the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Hello, everybody. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Osai, anakitawaya. I see you. Ohio. Kamsa, kamsamida. Manut. Habarigano. Jambo, Mini Kofi, Nina Franco, Katana Nwewe, Akwaba, Itesen, Raishan Shalom, Barakala Cham Yahava Shalom, Allah Cham Yahava Teda Yashla, Kwam Yashlel, Kwam Acheat, at Ache at Yashlel, Ana Kofi, Relative Servant of Christ, Mashalom Che. Hello, everybody. I'm Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voices and speaking the unspoken. We appreciate your presence here today on this rising. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you so very much. Hello, come on in, come on in. And before we get started too deep into this, as a reminder, those of you who are in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Delaware, Rhode Island, I guess, Massachusetts, I guess, we're going to be meeting up right where New Jersey and Pennsylvania meet up at. And from what I've been told, even if you don't have your own vehicle, you should be able to get transportation to the location that we're at least close enough for somebody to come pick you up. So we'll be doing that this Saturday, this Sunday, especially if you can't make Saturday, this Sunday specifically. We'll be meeting up and both days, I guess we're going to be trying to meeting up at 4:00 p.m. Eastern New York time, but especially on Sunday for the Day of Pentecost. So if you're interested in joining up with us, meeting up with us, we'd love to see you. We'd love to say hello. Love to see your children, your lovely families. Hello, everybody. How you doing? And so if you'd like to meet up with us, just kind of remind you about that. Once again, we give all praise and honor to the Most High, Yahweh Elohim. We give all praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. If for some reason you can't see her on Bloom and Flourish, look for her at Bloom and Flourish too. And we thank you, everybody, to the moderators, administrators, moderators. I bow down. I appreciate you. Thank you for doing what you do. If you guys are on with us for the first time today, we appreciate your presence. We're asking that you guys treat each other like human beings. If for some reason that seems to be too tough, and it seems like people don't honor that, we do have moderators for a reason on multiple platforms. So if you cannot treat people with respect, we will ask that you, we'll just be ready for the moderators to deal with that. Come on, as I don't necessarily deal with it myself. We trust them and we appreciate them, and we help, and we're thankful for them for helping us to be able to flow in what's going on. All right, so we thank you guys again. We appreciate your presence. Thanks for being on with us one more again. Thanks for being with us today, and we honor your presence today. We appreciate you. Thank you, those of you who are coming over from Early Rising Bible Study Session. We want to thank you guys for listening to what we become. We ask that you keep each other in prayer and everything, and thank you so much. So we're going to continue in this series we've been in called "The System is Sus." Right? The system is sus. The system that we're in is sus. And when I say that the system is sus, we're talking about the system is suspect. It's weird. It doesn't make sense. There's some strange behavior going on. And this is a series that we've been doing for quite some time. If you'd like to go over to YouTube to be able to check it out, you can. But the system is sus. And we'll get into today's part of the series in a little bit. But before we do that, let's say hello to everybody. Hello. I see Susan on. Thanks for being part of the community, being on today. How you doing, Spiritual Prospect? Shnat, Minister Nais. How you doing? Sorry, TikTok. Okay. Happy Hayes, Sherry. If I miss your name, charge to my head, not to my heart, by the way. Appreciate you. How you doing, Lion of Zion? Jihad, Georgia, Donaldson, Yellow Girl. Is it Ikadash or One Kadash? I can't remember. We got a couple people with similar names. How you doing, Keith? Aliens, Sister Deborah, Sister Irena, Big Brother Thomas, Lean Too Crazy, She Travels, Minister Tamara, Girl, aka Woman. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to send an invite to you, by the way. I was trying to scroll up. I accidentally pressed your name. Sorry about that. How you doing, Indigo? And blessing to everybody on here. So today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence. We kind of talked about this for those who were on early rising Bible study session. We went into this a little bit already. Hey, how you doing, Native Stone? Salute back at you. Appreciate you. And how you doing, Black Hillbilly? Thanks for being on. So artificial intelligence. The system is us. We talked about so many different things. Artificial intelligence, and it would be wrong of me to start getting into artificial intelligence and not, first of all, start with what artificial intelligence is. Now, not just only as far as what we talk about virtually, but the first artificial intelligence started when we started deeming ourselves more worthy of being thought of artificially than the reality of who we are. How you doing, Sister Renee? Don't insult my intelligence. How you doing? Right? So for a lot of us, artificial intelligence first, before we even get into what are the computer chips doing? What are these, there are actual robots that are considered to be a person, right? An artificial person, but a person with a status, passports, all that stuff, right? But before we get into that stuff, before we get into animals that are considered to be a person, before we get into some of these things, how you doing, Sister Latoya? How you doing? Thanks for being part of the community. Is it Mook G Dad? I hope that I'm not saying that wrong. Right. Before we get into that, we must recognize that one of the biggest things that has happened to humanity is that things that are artificial have become things that you identify with, and things that are natural have become things that you do not identify with. So when we talk about intel, the word intel, because we think all these words started when we saw certain devices, but these words existed, like a computer existed before the Mac existed. A computer existed before you saw warehouses full of these big, huge computers in the 60s and 70s, right? Computation existed before that. A computer existed, whether it's in the form that you know it of or not, it already existed. So these words already existed. These things, these mindsets already existed. This thought process that we have already existed. How you doing, Aslan? And so we have to realize that intelligence is something that exists before we talk about artificial intelligence. What is intelligence? Intel is information. How you doing, MIT Samir Lorray? Hopefully everything is going well and you were able to do what you needed to do yesterday. I'll probably check in with you sometime today if I can. But thank you for being on today. Appreciate you. So when we're talking about artificial intelligence, the word intel or intelligence already existed. Intelligentsia, it already existed. Artificial already existed as well. Something that is artificial is something that's not real. Matter of fact, just in case, because you never know, we have people that might argue this, that, whatever. Let's just look up the definition of artificial to make sure that we're on the same page. Let's just look up a regular definition of artificial. Make sure that we got that in place. He said it mimics or profiles a person with corporate technology to down the people they want, or even to download the people they want to a certain degree. But so artificial, if we just look at a basic definition, right? Let's just look at a basic definition of what artificial is. We don't have to, so we don't have to argue over this, right? Artificial means made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally. All right, let's just start there. Something that is artificial is made or produced by human beings, right? Made or produced by human beings. So if it's not natural, it's artificial. Okay. So if it was made clinically, if it was made in a lab, if it was made chemically, right? If it's something that is not natural or things that naturally go together, it is artificial. So before we even get into computers, isn't that whatever, first things first, there are a lot of things that you use in your life that are artificial. For example, fiat cash, right? How you doing, Minister Tamara? For example, fiat cash would be artificial. What is fiat cash? The dollar, right? The dollar would be artificial. The pound would be artificial. The rupee would be artificial. The CD would be artificial. The peso would be artificial, right? The euro would be artificial. Now, it's considered to be currency because you agree on using it one with another. How you doing, Sister Nadine? I think I missed somebody in there. Sage, hey, how you doing? Right? Our food can be artificial, exactly. But all these things, see, we deal so much in artificial that we think artificial is reality, right? How you doing, Black Steel? Matter of fact, sports, although real things happen and real storylines happen, we actually like sports. A lot of people use sports rather than to be in shape, to have camaraderie, to have fun. A lot of people use sports for what? For an escape of the world. A lot of people get upset on sports if somebody starts talking about real issues on sports, and they'll say, "I come here to escape the real world problems. I don't want to deal with the real world problems." A lot of people, when you go on Netflix, you're going to do what? To escape the real world problems. I don't want to deal with actual problems. How you doing, Sister Tracy? Right? You go to the movie theater, and they use something on you called suspension of disbelief. What does suspension of disbelief even mean? Suspension of disbelief. Suspension of disbelief is that they know after about 33 seconds, at least last time I checked, I think it was 33 and a half seconds. They know that after about 33 and a half seconds starts, once you start getting into the movie, once they go from the commercials, some of you have already started, but once they go from the commercials to they start hitting you with those, this company, Lucasfilm, Illumination, Columbia Pictures, Universal, Warner Brothers, whatever. Once you see all that stuff pop up, right? How you doing, Sister Knight? Right? Once you see all that stuff pop up, they know that you will suspend your disbelief because you know in your mind that you can't watch a movie if you don't immerse yourself in it. You could watch it, but it won't be of any value to you because the whole time, how you doing, Sister Kimberly? The whole time in your mind, how you doing, Bradley? Right? In your mind, you'll be saying, yeah, but that's not real. You won't enjoy it because it's not real. You have to actually immerse. That's why a lot of people get upset when they make changes to these comic book characters and all these comic book movies that have become the rage now and become the new fad, is because that all these people read the comics and they know that the comics change, so they don't mind to change certain things you shouldn't change, because if you change it, now you suspend my disbelief. A lot of people may not be old enough. I wasn't born here. Researcher, you weren't into comic books enough. A lot of people didn't like it when Superman could fly. Now, we're so used to Superman flying that if you saw Superman could not fly, it would be difficult for you to get into a Superman movie or Superman comic. How you doing, Natural Sweetness? Right? But he didn't used to fly. He was faster than the speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive. He could leap all buildings in a single bound. So Superman could jump really high to the point where it seemed like he was flying. Right? But he didn't fly. He was like the Hulk. If you know the Hulk doesn't fly. The Hulk is powerful enough that he, boom, takes off and he just jumps. And he can jump extremely far distances, especially when he gets it going. Or when people see Ariel turn black and all that stuff, which, by the way, I don't think we should really be pining for anyways, but nevertheless, right? But you suspend your disbelief to watch. So when somebody changes something and it's something that messes with you, it's hard for you to suspend your disbelief. You're going in there knowing, in order to watch this movie, I have to suspend my disbelief, but it's hard for you to stay in tune with it, to connect it to it. Why? Because it's difficult when you are not suspending, right? Or somebody does something that causes it to be difficult for you to suspend your disbelief. How you doing, Charles? How you doing, Money Green? How you doing, J Mag? Amen. So suspension of disbelief is extremely vital for you to be able to watch a movie. Suspension of disbelief is extremely vital for you. It's necessary, right? Right? In order for every part of that movie to permeate you, suspension of disbelief must become ubiquitous in the whole scene, right? Matter of fact, some of you, this is when the artificial comes in. Even the things that don't have anything to do with the movie, you have this feeling, this yearning, this nostalgia for it. And if you don't get the nostalgic stuff, you won't even be able to watch the movie. So you go to the movie theater, but you can't just watch a movie without popcorn and without soda, right? And without hot dogs. If you go somewhere where they got hot dogs or nachos, right? And maybe you need to have your jalapenos or double cheese, and maybe you need to make sure that you got your icing. Hey, Shalom, how you doing, Ratchet? Right. So you've got to have all these things together for you to actually enjoy the movie. right? Or to be immersed in it. If you don't have all those things together, you don't even think that it's real. Some of you on your big screens at home want to have something like that. Even if it's not the movie snacks, you got to have certain snacks, or else you can't suspend your disbelief. You will get up from the theater because you've run out of your popcorn or whatever, right? Some people will, right? Because you can't be suspending your disbelief without even some of the things that are artificial to the movie. So to watch something artificial, to read an artificial novel, even to watch sports, I had to suspend my disbelief. See, because in order for me to believe that Patrick Mahomes winning another championship is extremely important, and him battling against uh, Jalen Hurts is important, I have to believe they're going to battle. They're going to war. I have to believe that this team represents me in some way, shape, or form. I have to think that the NFL has my best interest at heart at this moment in order for this Super Bowl to mean something. If I'm going to support your team, right, I've got to believe in that person to buy their jersey. I must do something that causes me, I have to suspend disbelief. This is why gladiatorial games were what they were. And they still are what they were, because we still watch these gladiatorial games, right? They had to make you believe that Steph Curry at 35 and LeBron James at 38, right, this is the greatest battle, or one of the greatest battles we've ever seen. We don't get to see stuff like this. This is the biggest thing since Bird versus Magic and all the stuff that they told you. This is the biggest thing since Wilt and Kareem. They had to get you in a mindset to immerse yourself. Hey, how you doing, Sister Cassandra? Praise y'all for you. We definitely need to conversate some. And happy born day and all that. I think, right? Happy born day. Uh-oh. Got so many people, I might be mixing you up. But anyways, thank you for being on. Appreciate you. Glad to see you on. Right? We have to suspend disbelief. Right now, when you're so used to the artificial and so used to suspending disbelief in everything, it starts to click over to other things. How you doing, Brother Anthony? Right? You had to suspend your disbelief to believe that you're supposed to pay taxes. It's artificial intelligence. These people are giving you information that's artificial. It's based off of the real, right? It's a straw man. It's a front. It's based off of what is real, but it is not real. How you doing, old head energy? Right? It's based off of what is real. It is not real. But you have to suspend your disbelief to allow the system to go through. You have to suspend your disbelief to believe that a piece of cloth or a piece of paper called money, that it's different because they put the number 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, or 100 on it. Think about that, right? If I were to take, I don't have a sheet of paper, I don't have any cash. Well, I got cash, I think. I normally don't have cash. I might actually have cash today. I actually was thinking about that the other day, how I never carry cash, and you probably should have some from time to time. All right. So this is a $20 bill. How you doing, Sister David? Thanks for being part of the community. Is it Mr. D? Appreciate you. So I have cash, right? Fiat cash. And you believe in your head, right, that this is more valuable than something that if it said the number 1 right here in one of these corners. Why? The only reason why is because somebody told you if I put a 1 on this, it's more valuable. If I put a 2 on it, it's more valuable. Or it's 1 is value of 1, 2 is the value of 2, 5 is the value of 5, 10 is the value of 10, 50 is the value of 50, 100 is the value of 100, 20 is the value of 20. And yet, it's the same cloth. It's the same paper, right? How you doing, Linhart? It's the same thing. Right? They gave you intelligence, information, intel on that which is artificial, right? And it's not even backed up by silver or gold anymore. Right? But if you have this instead of a 1, they say that you have 20 times more than the person who has the 1. It's artificial intelligence. That's not natural. That, mathematically speaking, that doesn't necessarily make sense. But you believe in the currency. Currency, once again, is agreed upon thing. See, so we live in a lot of artificial intelligence. We live in a lot of artificial intelligence. How you doing, Samantha? Ray? I see you switched over, right? We live in a lot of the artificial, right? Matter of fact, right? We just talked about cash. What about if we were to pull out, right? What if we were going to your card, right? A lot of people on your cards, right, where it says your name and all that, right, has your name and everything. And a lot of your names on there are going to be all caps, which means it's not even talking about your real person. It's talking about your strong man. But you have your name, right? This actually has my real name because it has my uppercase and then lowercase letters, and then uppercase and lowercase letters for the first and last, right? But you use this and you swipe it. You swipe the card, right? And you swipe the card and you believe that because numbers on a screen or numbers in a system have gone past that fiat cash in your mind, that cash, right? Even the fake cash that we talked about, because once again, this has no gold or silver to back it up. But in your mind, you've agreed, just like somebody tells you a 5 is less than this, even though both of them are on the same paper, both of them on the same cloth. But in your mind, you think that the 20 is greater than the 5, right? Somebody gave you that intel, and yet it's artificial. All right, how you doing, Coco? Thanks for being on. You said how all this will help your life, or is it just for information? Well, it's for educational purposes only, but if you listen long enough, you might see if it helps your life or not. Maybe it'll be beneficial, maybe it won't. Right? This is based off a whole series called The System is Sus. And so when we're talking about the system, maybe it'll help your life to know that the United States of America is not a country, or the United States is not a country, it's a corporation, according to United States Code. Maybe it would help you to see things better if you knew that the president was overboard, because 28 USC 300215A says it's a corporation, but 15B says it's a board. That's why you have a president, a vice president, secretary, etc. Maybe it helps you to realize the United States is an instrument, therefore it's traded. Maybe if you realize that, you realize you were traded. Maybe it helps you to want to be sovereign, or do more things in privacy, private, right? Be a private person than be an artificial person, be public. But maybe, just maybe you hear it out, right? Just maybe hear it out a little bit, and you might be able to see. Because even before you go to the books, this and that, or whatever, I'm introducing you to something that maybe you might not know, right? And so in the artificial intelligence piece, right? When we're talking about artificial intelligence. And no problem, Miss Ash, how you doing? Right? And thanks for being on. Is it? I don't know if it's. I'm gonna say this wrong. Is it Femi Akinbi? I don't know if I said that at all correctly, but thanks for being on with us. We appreciate you. So this is artificial intelligence. We live in so much artificial that we're not even willing to look if something's natural or if it's reality, and we're so busy. Even like an artificial response. Right? We think it's a natural response. An artificial response is, hey, before you give me more things that actually you're introducing to me, go ahead and just tell me whether or not I should even listen to your introduction. Give me all the stuff at the end. I want the microwave version of it, right? But if you've lived artificially, peep game, if you lived artificially for 40 years of your life, if you had a belief system in your life for 40 years, somebody introduces you to truth today, do you think you're going to be able to live in truth right away? Just question for him. Think about it. Let's come out of common sense and let's deal with kingdom sense. Those who are royalty, who want to live as royalty, who want to live as something who is your greatest self, right? If you lived in squalor for 40 years and then somebody presents you what's clean, would you trust it? If you lived in a belief system that was fallible for all of your life, if you were raised on the Bible, and somebody introduces you that this Bible that you read, there's a lot of inconsistencies with it because this is not the original version of what you think it is, would you automatically be able to comprehend what they're telling you? Or would you have to listen long enough? You said truth is defined as what we believe to be true. No, some people define it as truth. For some others, it depends on the culture. See, my cultural reference point might be different than yours, so I respect that. But in my culture, truth is one thing. Oneness. Even the term that people call holiness. Holy just means whole. It means one. Aleph, alive. Yeah, English, Anglo-ish. But even in speaking in Anglo-ish, we can still figure out where in Anglo-ish are we talking about, right? Because English, technically, if we want to get English, then we got to know French. We got to know Latin. We must definitely know many different Moorish languages. We must recognize Negro languages. And yes, the word Negro existed even before Spanish, because Negro or Negro was actually one of the most ancient ways of identifying West Africans. right? So in my culture, yeah, truth is one. Truth is absolute. People say live your truth because been given artificial intel. If there's if there's truth, if something is true, right? If it's defined to be true, then it is what it is, right? Now, if you're saying it's your truth, you've been giving an artificial version of that. You've been given a straw man definition of truth, which says that you can identify whatever you want as truth. Amen. Yeah, truth doesn't necessarily require that we agree, which is why I'm not worried about being right. I want to be righteous. The word righteous, by the way, means right lawful standing, right legal standing. I'm not trying to win. Matter of fact, in my culture, we believe that we've already won. If I've already won something, I don't need to fight you to win. If I'm already part of something that's going to last because it's an eternal truth, then why would I fight about something that's not eternal? Now, we can talk about it and we can discuss it, right? Even if it's something that you believe to be true, it doesn't mean it's true. See, belief and faith, pistis, even in the Greek, right? But belief and faith are not necessarily all that you think that they are, right? Faith is not even necessarily knowing what's coming next. However, I'm going to walk in it. See, because faith is based off of hope. If I hope something enough, faith is when I start walking in what I hope in, right? I hope this is there, but your hope could be in something that's less than what you need. Your hope could be in something that's less than what you need. You said like the Quran. Well, first of all, the Quran is not necessarily my canon, but there's a lot of stuff in the Quran that I think is fine. And Ishmael is my brother. So I'm not here to fight about your Republican, Democrat, Quran or not. And I don't know if that's what you meant necessarily, but I just want to make sure that's what we talk. We coming from the right perspective. That's not my thing. How you doing, user 8911662? Sorry, I can't see your other name. Right? You said belief is artificial intelligence? Sure, because some people believe in artificial intelligence. Now, I know, I get it. I get where people get. And look, I'm talking about a cultural reference point. If this is not a cultural reference point for you, then it might be something, but I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to speak. I have the right? I'll admit to your other reference point, but I have the right within my own culture to say that in my culture, some of the things you're bringing up are artificial to me. They are strange to me. They are foreign to me. They don't make sense in my system. See, if we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, now we got to start getting to the point of a lot of this stuff is systemic or systematically put in place that it might become systemic. It runs on its own. Like I was saying, just because you've ran off of something for a long time doesn't mean, right? Like, for example, there are many theories that you still run off of that are not necessarily so. How you doing, Sister Monica? Amen. Kingdom culture-based conversation, Yashtael conversation, Afrocentric conversation, different terms, right? And we're saying that even in your Anglo-ish, even in spells, right? The God spell, gospel, and these spells that you've been taught, right? We want to tell you that those spells, we don't believe in those spells. We're not witches. We're not into witchcraft. We're not into spelling things out. We're here into making sure that proper etymology is there to show you how these characters work together. Because see, those aren't, you might call them letters, but those are characters. Those characters are based upon characters of the Aleph Bet or the Aleph Bayit. This is something that goes deeper than that. Is the world flat? Is not part of the conversation right now. I apologize, big country. That's just not where I'm at right now. But maybe we can discuss that in a minute, right? I appreciate it. If it's a genuine question, I appreciate it. That's not where I'm at right now. I have no problem telling you that I don't think the world is necessarily what people say it is, but that's not where I'm at right now. Just give me a second or give me a little bit. We'll see how this rolls, right? But I got to be obedient to that which I came to do today, right? You said belief is based in physical and faith requires spirit evidence of unseen, of omniscience. Right. How you doing? I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Yeah, I'm not going to pronounce it right. I'm going to just spell it Jenlwe. How you doing? Okay. How you doing? And so when we're talking about artificial intelligence, that's why I said first things first. Everybody wants to go straight into this, that, whatever. Like the straw man existed before the English. It existed before Western law. It existed before Black's Law Dictionary, right? These are all things that we must comprehend. But artificial intelligence is something that getting you to identify with information that is not natural. All right, let's look up the word again. What does artificial mean? First part of the definition, made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally. Right? Made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally, right? If it's not natural, it's artificial. Now we have to figure out natural because, see, this is how law works. No matter which law, theoretical laws, excuse me, because theoretical law theories have to be based off of law still. This is why certain theories don't pan out because they are not based off of natural law, right? If it's not based off of natural law, it cannot be theoretical. This is why the theory of gravity was displaced, right? Was taken out by the theory of relativity. Because you think, in one sense, see, you were taught something artificial. You believe that gravity is as simple as an apple hit Sir Isaac Newton on the top of his head, and he came up with all his conclusions out of that, and he said, this is why we're on the ground, and this is why we can't leave, and this is why we stay here. But gravity is supposed to be a theory that explains why you don't go side to side. It's supposed to describe inertia to a certain degree. It's supposed to describe why the stars stay in the sky. It's supposed to describe why the earth stays where it is. It's supposed to describe all these things. Right? But see, you might have been taught an artificial version that you think gravity just means this is why I can't jump that high. This is why airplanes fly and they have to get into lift and drag and weight, etc. Right? And force or push. Right? You might have been taught an artificial version. You might have been given artificial intelligence. Something that was crafted by man, a theory to try to describe. See, a theory is B. A is what we came from. C is where we are. We know A, we know C, but for some reason we can't figure out B. So B, we put a theory in there. And then if that theory works, we use that to just get us from, in our mind, to make life simple, A to C. But then all of a sudden we realize B is wrong, so we just put another B in there. But what if B is based off of the artificial? You see that? How you doing? NEMT, AJ, Insomniac, Insomniac Arts, thanks for being part of the community. Marcus, thanks for being part of the community. Right? So there are things that you have to realize are artificial. You were right. For example, I went to and when I came over to Virginia for high school, Thomas A. Edison High School, the creator of so many different things, so to speak, the creator of the light bulb. But the creator of the light bulb didn't create the light bulb. Latimer actually creates the light bulb. And Latimer was the one who patented not only the light bulb, but many things not only that Edison did, but also that many others did. Right? You got to look up Latimer. And when somebody does the patent, they write the patent. What happened, I don't know if it's still what happens in all honesty, but what happened back then was that you went to the patent office and they would sit you down with Latimer. And you would tell Latimer your idea, and he would take what you said, like kind of like what they do when you go to the police and you try to say who hurt you or something, and somebody writes a description based on what you're saying, they draw it out. That's what Latimer would do with your concept. You would come in with a concept or a sept. You had a precept, you got it out of environment. That gave you a sept, an idea. You go to him with your sept, and he helps you to become one with the idea, or helps others to become one with it. You call that a concept. So you brought it to him, and he would write it out as you said it, and he would have to know just as much, if not more so, what you were talking about, so that he could write it out correctly. He had to basically create for you he had to create what was in your head, or he had to manifest what was in your head, and sometimes had to teach you while you were talking to him, so that he could actually tell you, no, this is what you actually mean. This is what you're actually looking for. This is actually what you might want to call it, what it should look like, how it should function, etc. And then he would give it to you, and people paid him a lot of money to do this. Right? He lived very well. Right? So you gave him intelligence, and he had to tell you what was artificial about it, and tell you, okay, this is actually what you're talking about. Right? Matter of fact, many of you believe, once again, getting back to how law works, we don't recognize that how law works. So when you talk about being public or private citizen, right? A public citizen, a private sovereign, if you talk about being having remedial law or having procedural law, first things first, it has to be substantive law before that. Now, when you get to substantive law, that means that it's substantiated, right? There's a substance now, right? To it. Well, that comes from something called natural law. If you know how natural law works like this. If it's not the nature of the creator of all things, then it's not natural. Somebody says, I don't believe that. I don't want to go with that because you've been given false intelligence, or you've never read the intelligence to see if it's artificial or what even is by law, right? Just like some of you think the United States is a country, but if you look at United States code, the United States is not a country. It is a corporation, it is a board, and it is tradable, right? So the United States is different than the United States of America. Many of you don't know, right? So same thing. Let's go back to natural law. You think that when something gets patented, that's not natural law. When something gets patented, it can be substantive law, but it can have a substance to it, but it cannot be natural. Why? Because if I were to, I use this all the time. If I were to go on my property, go outside, get dandelions, and try to sell them, and I say I'm going to sell them as Kofi's dandelion, I could not patent it. Do you know why? Why in law? In law, not just talking about what I'm saying. In law, if you go look at the law books, why would I not be allowed to patent dandelion in my own yard? By law. Think about it. By law. Why would I not be able to patent it's in mine? I should be able to own it, so to speak. Why am I not allowed to patent something that grows in my yard? Because it came from the creator. Amen. Right? By law, if the Most High didn't make it, you cannot patent it. As much as you guys think that spirituality is what's separated from state, church, cirque, is separated from state. Right? But spirituality is not separated from state. State means country. State means government, by the way. Every state that you are in is a country. That's why the United States is a corporation. The United States of America are 50 countries, 50 states that have come together. That's why every state has a capital, because every country has a capital. Right? But you've been fed artificial intelligence. See, before we even get to the chip, before we even get to the melanin that's in the chip, before we even get to they're causing it to think, before we even get to they're giving rights to these things. First things first, you've been fed some artificial intelligence. And thanks for being a part of the community, R.N. Miller and EJ the Sniper. Appreciate you. Right. So artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. So natural law says that it has to be of the nature of the Most High. But guess what? Natural law, the nature of the Most High, comes from something called universal law. No, I did not hear Rashad Jamal yesterday. I don't know who that is. Right. Sorry. Right. So natural law comes from something called universal law. What does universe mean? Right. Natural law is more, it comes from universal law. What does the word universe mean? Oh, he spoke on it yesterday. Cool. Yeah, I don't know who that is, but that's awesome. Right. What does universe mean? Universe is uni, which means a single, right? Uno, uni, unai, uni. And then verse. Verse is what? A sentence. Or if some of you want to get into poems or get into rhyme scheme or whatever, or a song, then verse can be an elongated sentence or many sentences, but it's a sentence, really, is its original word. So universe is one sentence or a single spoken sentence. Now, what is the one sentence of canon? Bara alacham at shamayam at aras. In beginning, Alacham created the heaven and the earth. Now, whether you like it or not, that's what your laws are based off of. So even if you don't like what I'm saying, even if you don't agree, even if you don't believe the laws you're under, that's what they're using. Right? Even if you don't like what I'm saying, the laws that are on the books, that's what they're telling you. That's what they're using. When you go to court, that's what they're coming from. And then in universal law is kingdom law. Now, technically, kingdom law should be connected to marital law because you're supposed to be married to the king. That's why even in the Declaration of Independence, 1776, it says very clearly in the Declaration of Independence, what it says, it talks about they're doing this according to the laws of nature or God's nature, God's law. Whoever your God is, now you got to figure that part out. But that's what they're using. And what they do from that point on is they say, okay, many of you are going to keep separating yourself from what is natural. So they let you sign your real self away to the artificial version of you. How you doing, Sister Joy? How you doing, Shabbos? So now that you've signed your way, and I'm signed the Most High Child, how you doing? So, and thanks for being part of the community. Now we're getting somewhere, see, because now what you've been doing for a long time in your life is you've been signing yourself away to something that's not who you really are. Now we're getting somewhere. You've been signing yourself away to something that you really are not. Right? Your marriage, your version of marriage is walking down the aisle in a white dress, father by your side, husband to the right of the preacher. Stage fright of the preacher. The reality is that even if you believe in the Bible as your canon, it's not even in your canon. That's not marriage. But in your mind, that's what it is. Why? Because you have an artificial version of it. See how the artificial intelligence is not just about the computers only. Artificial intelligence took over a long time ago. They're just now introducing stuff to you like Terminator and Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and The Matrix. By the way, all three of those were written by the same writer who wrote those to be in succession. That's why they changed the name to Tom something, whatever Tom Neo's real name is in the movies. When it was originally written by the same sister, the reason why JC, that name is important, John Connors, JC is supposed to be something that gets you to think of Jesus Christ. So you have Terminator 1, right? Somebody who comes from the past with a message, right? Impregnates a woman and then is no longer there. This woman carries a child and gives birth. Eventually is by herself. We don't know what happens to her husband. In Terminator 1, we know what happens. In the Bible, we don't know what happens, right? Terminator 2, now you have this child trying to grow into what he's supposed to become, right? A lot of people don't know what they're supposed to be. Runs into a Terminator that at one point was against him, but now somebody from the past has sent him back as the protector, right? The thing that you thought was going to kill you has actually become the thing that protects you. And now you had this child growing into it, goes back to find his mama, right? Who gave birth to him, Israel. And now all of a sudden, these things are working together, trying to go against this bad Terminator, right? So now this Terminator works for the real people. We have another Terminator that's working for the artificial people. And now all of a sudden you have this thing that happens. And then what was supposed to happen before a lot of people got a hold of this story and started flipping and changing it, what was supposed to happen is now you get to the Matrix, where this person who fought this battle, who was able to survive, right, saw the Terminator, the artificial die and everything, right, but the chip was left over, right, the arm was left, the chip was still left over, right? There was another chip, so to speak, right, and you still had some stuff that was there. They were able to take that. So everybody thought everything was destroyed. Thought everything was over. You can go back to regular life. Just go right back in. And what happens in the next one is the artificial intelligence, the machine, the beast, if you will, has now taken over to the point to where even though he's JC, that's what it was supposed to be. Even though he's JC, John Connors, Jesus Christ, he has forgotten who he is. Or just like you are supposed to be Israel, or you're supposed to follow Jesus Christ or whatever, you have forgotten who you are. And so now by the end of the first one, if you realize, think about the end of the first Matrix, which should be the third installment of this, but at the end of it, he's victorious. He's won. And he says, now I'm going to free people, but I'm going to let people come out by their own free will. I'm going to introduce them to reality and let them have the choice. Will you stay in artificial intelligence or will you go into reality? That's what it was supposed to be. Look it up. The woman who wrote it, right? She actually sued, got money back, especially from the Wachowskis, sisters, whatever they are now, brothers, sisters. I don't know what they go by. That's what they did. That's what they were supposed to be. And she wrote it that way to be able to help people to see, because a lot of you suspend your disbelief. That she had to go into a place where even when you suspend your disbelief, you can still have real thought process on what's going on. And now you have a choice. Will you be part of the artificial or will you be part of reality? Sophia Stewart, thank you for the name. Yeah, Sophia Stewart, Sister Sophia. And how you doing, Jesse? Thanks for being part of the community. Right? So they're giving you this stuff to help you to see. And by the way, all this stuff, everything that pops up, even with AI, all this stuff, you notice that they give you everything in movie form first. You guys think that movies are separated, but see, that's when we get into the artificial. Might not introduce you to something to where people don't even think about it? I was even going to get rid of this. I'm glad I didn't. Right? But we don't even think about the fact that if you look real carefully, right? If you look real carefully, what's going on, you can see what's happening. Television and film, media assets, owned by the same person, right? Owned by the same person. Same person. Viacom, BET, CBS, Epix, Flix, Nickelodeon. By the way, if you don't know what the word Nickelodeon means, the word Nickelodeon means I do not want God or something like that, or I do not believe in God, or I do not worship God, something like that. That's actually what Nickelodeon means. And you were raised, now look at the shows that you watched. They were cute, they were nice. Some of them not so cute, some of them not so nice, but they're supposed to take you away from them. They're supposed to take you away from the mindset of the creator. That's what it's called. Paramount. Do you know what Paramount? Paramount has a mountain on it. Do you know why? Because it's a mountain where you're supposed to put something to be worshipped in a high place. Bible tells you not to do that, not to put anything high in high places. It even tells you about wickedness in high places. I mean, this is just one. CMT, that's country music. You think that because it's BET, Black Entertainment, and country music television, you think that it's not the same people in charge of both? Right. You're having in your mind, you think this stuff is not connected. This is all under one family. And they're giving you what? Television, right? Television, either you can think they're telling you a vision, or if you want to get deeper into it, not only are they telling you a vision, we could just say they're telling you a vision. But not only are they telling you a vision, television means they're teleport a vision. Teleport. They teleporting the vision. They're using media. What did we talk about with media not too long ago? Media is medium. Medium is a witch, or medium, it doesn't necessarily have to be a witch. A medium could just be anybody who's supposed to get things from one place to another. The news is a medium. That's why you call it media. You have social media. Right now, you have the right to be able to use it correctly. But if you're not careful, the algorithm, the artificial algorithm even, because at times it's artificial, it's not based off of real stuff. How you doing, Crystal? Right? Sometimes you're sitting there. I'm trying to tell you, like, this stuff is real. All these people own by the same group, by the same family, by the same person. We go to another family. We think this stuff is separate, right? But you got to look at Disney. Disney is in charge of ESPN. You're so busy about the Disney movies, ESPN is keeping the same stuff as the Disney movies. This is one family. Marvel, right? Marvel Comics. Marvel is controlled by Disney. Same people, same family. ABC News. You say the news. News is controlled by Disney. You have a problem with Disney, but you don't have a problem with ABC News. Pixar obviously has been Disney product for a really long time. And now Pixar movies basically just seem like Disney Light. They used to be different because they had a different mindset, but you put something in a different culture long enough, it's going to become part of something else, is it not? ESPN 1, 2, 3, ESPN Deportes, right? ESPN Deportes, all this, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? Disney, obviously. Pirates of the Caribbean, that's Disney. Just because they didn't put a bunch of Disney stuff on there to make you think it was Disney, Bruckheimer films, all that stuff, that's Disney. And by the way, where are your child stars that are going through all this stuff and all this headache and all this frustration? These people that you look at and say, man, what happened to Britney Spears? Look at where she came from. Justin Timberlake, a woman, he goes on a date with a woman. She says, what's your belief in God? He says, well, God's in my pants. What kind of spirit you think was over him? Right? This stuff is serious. People think we're just making this stuff up. You can look this up for yourself. We go to another family. We go to another person. Cartoon Network. You remember Cartoon Network started off with Ted Turner and stuff. Ted Turner sells it eventually. Right, but Cartoon Network started off where it was supposed to be a bunch of stuff where they bought up all these cartoon properties and then they basically put them on for people. It was stuff like Hanna-Barbera. And look, I'm not saying all that stuff was righteous either, but Hanna-Barbera stuff, you were looking at the Jetsons, you were looking at the Flintstones, you were looking at Captain Caveman, you were looking at Space Ghost, you were looking at a lot of stuff. And then they started doing something at night. They called it what? They called it, what did they call that? Adult Swim. Right, they put all that stuff on there, right? But also, you think of right, and there was a Time Warner merge. Y'all remember they were even over your wrestling. Matter of fact, the reason why some of your wrestling went away, but those of y'all who were in the WCW and stuff back in the day, that was Time Warner. They took over, right? You got HBO, so they tell you your stuff as far as boxing, and everything. The cartoons that your children watch. Your children watching some scandalous stuff. I mean, Nickelodeon, we could have talked about SpongeBob and stuff under the other one, but what about on Cartoon Network? I don't even watch this really, but I know what it is. Like Gumball, or you see what they did to Teen Titans, where they took it from some of that stuff where they were getting into spirituality and stuff too, right? But now they took it and they made it to where it's child friendly. Warner Brothers, Hulu, TCM, all the Turner products. By the way, I talked about Turner earlier. Like these are all part of the same family. And we're not thinking about it. We're just going along with the program. Oh, people are saying this, they're into conspiracy theory. What about we go to another family? This is a lot of the people who are controlling your internet. A lot of y'all got Comcast right now listening to me. I'm not mad at you. I'm just trying to tell you, I need you to see what's going on and you need to be in control. If you don't like the fact that the minions be out here and wearing scandalous stuff and showing their behind and stuff like that in front of your children and all this stuff, and we keep promoting it, and Gru is out here being buck naked and stuff like that in front of them and all this stuff like that. This is Comcast. Same people, by the way, who control your NBC Sports, your Olympics going back to the times of Greece. Same people who are doing your NBC News, who you say is so is so much into making sure. Same people that giving you sci-fi. Some of y'all don't even like sci-fi because sci-fi used to look different than what it looks like now. I don't even know some of these things for real. I'm trying to E-Entertainment. I used to watch that a lot when I was younger. I used to watch that all the time. This is stuff that's right there for you. Like they're putting this, and it's the same agenda. Now, some of you don't know, by the way, some of these different families, they work together from time to time to ensure that they can have even more control. I don't know where BBC falls in. I don't know where BBC is. In all honesty, it might not be in these that I'm giving you because obviously a lot of these are heavily American based, even though they still have worldwide reach. But I'm not 100% sure. Let's see if it pops up on one of these. I'm not sure. Right? You got Fox. Here's another company, which, by the way, this is a little older because some of this stuff that says Fox was bought by another family, right? So Fox, technically, we should put Fox. Forgive me, I got to go back some. Fox is, where's Disney at? Is this Disney? Yeah. So Fox belongs here. Now, this must be older. Because remember, that's why some of y'all who have Disney Plus, it was a big deal where they said they're going to start putting Simpsons episodes and stuff on Disney Plus, right? So this is actually older. So they might have less, or they might have sold all this to other companies now. But y'all can see, obviously, right? So all this stuff. And by the way, not all Fox stuff was sold. So I guess stuff like FS1, I think is still supposed to be separate and stuff like that. So FS1 doesn't belong to Disney. But you see this stuff, right? By the way, you got a whole channel. They talking about we're a cult, but you got a whole channel on here called Cult. Okay, yeah, Nickel, Origin, Demon, Goblin, Odeon, Greek for theater. Okay, yeah. So I've heard that one too. So I've seen one or two things with Nickelodeon. Thank you for that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is another one. The latest one that I just learned about was, if you break it down, it actually talks about being away from God. But either way, it's about being away from Elohim, right? So real talk, right? But then Let's go to another one. We'll make this the last one, and then we'll go back to where we were. Right? Here's another one. Sony. By the way, these are the people who, well, we'll say allegedly did what they did to Michael Jackson. Right? These are the people that messed up Mariah Carey. Okay? Y'all remember this? I'm not making this up. Y'all remember this? Okay? This is what they own. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even familiar with a lot of this stuff. I've seen some of it. Okay, Sony Pictures Animation. Aren't those the people that do hold on, the Sony Pictures Animation, were they the ones that did what's that one that y'all like with the woolly mammoth and the sloth and the saber-tooth tiger? The first one had a little baby in it they were protecting. What's that called? It has the ancient squirrel that does the that's always looking for Ice Age. Thank you. Yeah. I believe that's them, right? Isn't that them? I haven't seen all the Ice Ages, but I think that's them, right? So this is one family. One family. No, so the lamp that jumps in Pixar, that's owned by Disney. And that's the lamp that jumps, that's Pixar. Right. But I'm just trying to show you, right? So people say, oh, here we are being conspiracy theorists. This is not conspiracy theory. This is reality. Right? Before you get into trying to tell me that I'm just flipping the game and messing stuff up. You've been fed artificial intelligence. Your intel is artificial. You think that these things are separate. You said, how would I want it? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, supernatural. You mean how would I want it? Like how would I want it to be? I just want people to know what they're into. And I want people to know that maybe you should separate from some things where you're thinking, or even separate from some thinking. Remember, the artificial intelligence starts here. Right. So I want you to recognize that you have this mindset of like all this stuff or all this individual choice, or you're doing things by free will. Artificial intelligence is designed to get you to give up by free will reality so that you'll fall for a false narrative. And how you doing, cat daughter? Thank you for the love. Right. So I want you to stop falling for the false narrative. That's what I would like. That's what this is about today. Right. You've grown up in so much artificial stuff, right? Watch this. When you are born, when the baby is born, fathers cannot wait and mothers think it's so cute, right? I used to be one who thought this. So cute that the doctor would allow me to cut the umbilical cord. That's terrible, though. You're not supposed to cut the umbilical cord. And then they clamp it. Why do you think they clamp it? Why do you think you cut it and then they clamp it? Think about that. And thanks for being part of the community, J-Bay, right? And how you doing, brats? And real quick reminder, once again, if you guys are in Pennsylvania, if you're in New York, if you're in the States, Pennsylvania, New York, Delaware, maybe Massachusetts, maybe Rhode Island. If you want to travel that far, we're going to be doing a meetup in person for those people who are up there. So we hope to see you guys up there, especially on Sunday. We'll be there Saturday and Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern New York time. We gave the address out to those who are part of our meeting at 12:30 on Saturday. But if you want the address, if you're going to be in that area, get in touch with us. Let us know. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can just look in the chat or look in the description with the video. If you're on podcast, you can look in the description to be able to text us or email us. If you're on TikTok, you can just look on our main TikTok page, click on the link tree, and you should be able to get in contact with us, okay? You said how far from Philly it's going to be. I think, well, from what I asked some people that live up there, right? From what I comprehend, Philly should be able to use transportation to get up there, public transportation, or you should be able to travel. I don't remember the exact amount if you travel by car though. So you have to, Sister Samaya LeRae, I don't remember if I told you where it was, but I think I don't know if you know how far it is, or if Brother Brian or Sister Brianna are on. I don't know if you guys can tell us how far it is, because you guys actually go back and forth from like Philly to New Jersey in the area that you're going to be in. So I don't know exactly what it is, but if you guys contact us or get in touch with us, I promise you we'll get you the information. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and keep on going. Right. But why do you think, let's get back to this. Why do you think that they have you cut the umbilical cord and then clamp it? Oh, I'm focused where I need to be. Right. So why do you think they have you cut the umbilical cord and then clamp it? Once again, if you can, please, I'll try my best to get in touch with you. I'm pretty busy during the day. We do a lot of stuff in the community and all types of things. So I might be able to contact you. I'll try, but it might be best if you just try and reach out to us. Okay. But once again, why do you think that they have you cut the umbilical cord and clamp it to make money from it? Yes. So why, naturally speaking, or now they're doing something artificial with it, but why in the nature of the umbilical cord, and think about what it's attached to, why do you think that they have you clamp it? To keep the blood, right? To keep it from bleeding out. Why? Do I think what cutting the umbilical cord can cause hernias? Not necessarily, but why do you think that they have you clamp the umbilical cord? To clamp it to stop the blood? Why? Why is that so important? See, they're doing artificial stuff to you all the time, and you're not recognizing it. Source of life came through that cord. Exactly. Exactly. So the umbilical cord is supposed to stay connected to the baby that is born. It's not supposed to be cut off. You see that? The umbilical cord is supposed to fall off on its own. It is attached to what we call the afterbirth, right? The things that come up, because there's two. The mother, she gives birth twice, even if she doesn't have twins. She bears two things. She bears a child, and then she bears the afterbirth, the placenta, right? And when the placenta comes out, the placenta is what has been ultimately feeding the child and will continue to feed the child. So watch this. A lot of mothers, they have problems with breastfeeding with the first child. Not all, but a lot of mothers do. And what happens? They say, oh, you need to make sure that child eats, right? Make sure that you get that child, right? Make sure that you get make sure the child eats. You need to make sure that you give that child some milk. So you can't upstream and give them milk, give them formula. Formula is not designed for all children. Formula was designed off of one child. And it might not even be, they might not even have the DNA of your child, but it's a formula. It's artificial. It's not real, right? What's supposed to happen is that the baby would be born, the placenta comes out, the placenta is still there attached to be able to feed the baby. So even if you're having a problem breastfeeding, what happens, mothers, is that you'll have something called cholesterol, right? Very sticky, very kind of small, but it's like a little packet that gives the baby a bunch of stuff and gets the body, introduces the baby's body to, okay, we eat now because I've always ate only through here. So as the baby starts developing some of that, it's still, even though it's not getting milk, it still will continue to learn how to suckle, but it's also being fed still. So there's a natural progression from being only fed through the belly button to not being there. Now, once your milk starts to produce, right, then the baby starts to drink off that, something natural happens where the placenta that's been living inside you, the baby who's been living inside you, and you, who are you, all have this agreement that come together that says, and the placenta only has a certain amount of food that it can give anyways before it dies. So it dies so your child might live. It gives its life for your child. And the placenta says, okay, I see we're going down. I see that I can tell the baby's getting milk and it's getting something from somewhere else. And so now it sends a signal, right, through the umbilical cord to the tip of the umbilical cord. And it says we need to disconnect. The baby, being attached to that, gets a signal that goes to the brain. It says get ready to disconnect. And so now the baby begins to disconnect from the umbilical cord. And the umbilical cord begins to disconnect from the baby. And then all the nutrients pretty much have gone out of the placenta. And now the baby has all those nutrients, which also is going to help it to think better, to move better, to be stronger. It's been eating correctly. And it's naturally gone into, now I start eating from my mouth. And now the mother's milk has been around also too. And her body has been designed because now it's had enough chance to be able to meet the baby where it is. So now the baby and the mother, right, the mother's milk literally starts changing as the baby changes. So when the baby gets older, the milk needs to change. When the baby gets sick, the milk needs to change. When the baby is sad or frustrated or angry, the milk needs to change. It's had a chance. Everybody's had a chance naturally to progress together. But what they do is they cut the umbilical cord, they clamp it, they clamp the baby's portion that's left too, right? But they clamp it. Now the baby, hopefully you can breastfeed. If not, Like we might have some problems and you might have to go to formula. They don't care about that. They make money off of that too, because they'll give you something artificial for what they've now done artificially to you. Now they'll take when the placenta comes out, they take the placenta away. They'll check on your baby before they get the baby to the mother, right? But they take the placenta and they take that somewhere, and somebody comes in and checks on that too. Sometimes the same doctor that delivers, and they check on that and they say, okay, cool, this placenta is healthy. Right now that they know it's healthy, they clamped it off where it's not bleeding out, right? Because it's alive, it's not bleeding out. And then they take it somewhere else and then they chop it into pieces while it's still healthy. And they put it into pills or other things and they sell it. What should have been given to your baby for free, they give to other people to eat. Because there's a lot of nutrients in there. Matter of fact, there's a lot of animals that give birth. And when they have the afterbirth come out, some of the animals eat the afterbirth because there's nutrients in it. It's valuable. They're not going to just let it sit there and die. So they'll actually start to eat it. You see, so we are so into the artificial that we don't even think, is that natural? We're so into the artificial, we don't even think, is that natural? What I'm in essence trying to give you is before you even get to the chips, before you get to the circuitry, before you get into all this stuff, you must comprehend what artificial is, right? This right here, Black's Law Dictionary, right? This right here, Black's Law Dictionary. There's many different, there's 12 editions, by the way, right? This is just the newest one I happen to own, but been given as a gift and take ownership over, I guess, right? But this right here, Black's Law Dictionary, look up what a person is. You can be a real person or an artificial person. You said, what was up with the Kardashians eating the placenta? I can't really comment on it because I don't really know. I don't really follow them like that. I guess if they were eating it, I mean, some people, once again, eat the placenta. Some people get the placenta and eat it because it's got nutrients. It should go to your baby, though. And if anything, if you're a mother that actually decides to keep the placenta, and whether you think it's nasty or not, if you decide to eat it or something, then you should only really be doing it while your baby's breastfeeding and putting it in capsules or whatever and taking it or whatever so that the baby can still get it because the baby eats off you. So even if they do that or whatever, sometimes, I don't think in all states, but some states, I think you can even make a deal with the hospital. Now, you shouldn't really be having babies at the hospital anyways, right? Unless it's an emergency. However, if you decide to go there, some hospitals, you can actually make a deal with them and say you want to keep the placenta. You said they turn you into artificial intelligence from your birth by feeding you artificial things. Hey, very true, right? And by the way, see, now here's the deal. If you've been eating artificial food, your problem, if you've been eating things artificially, hopefully you get the context, right? Hopefully you get the concept, right? So if you're eating artificial food, the problem is not your eating, because you need to eat. If you're eating artificial psychology, the problem is not psychology. The problem is that it's artificial. Or the problem is not that you're eating psychology. The problem is that it's artificial. And anything that's artificial, it comes with side effects. I don't exactly know the context and the concept of making sure that you make it into capsules or how you dry it into powder or whatever. You'd have to look that up, in all honesty, right? This for educational purposes only, but also too, I'm going to always tell you the truth, as best as I can, right? But I'm always going to try my best to give you straight facts or contextual facts, context and facts together. So, but I don't have that fact. I can't. You'd have to look that up. I don't want to steer anybody wrong. I would say it's probably as in the same manner that you dry other meat or other food or fruits and things like that, probably very similar process, but I wouldn't be the person to tell you how to do that. A doula probably could tell you how to do that for sure. I don't have that ability to tell you. My wife might be able to tell you. She's a herbalist who helps a lot of people with a lot of medical conditions, but I'm not sure. Right. But when you're taking this fake food, right? The problem is not that you're having fake food. The problem is that the problem is not that you're eating. The problem is that what you're eating is fake. It's artificial. It's a front. It's a straw man. Right? That's the problem with what they've been feeding you, is that it's a straw man. It's fake. It comes with side effects. Right? And even if they mean well, by the way, it comes with side effects. For example, why do you think that let's go down this road. You ready? Let's go down this road. My wife's information is bloom and flourish. bloom like a rose, and the letter N, flourish, like something should flourish. Bloom and flourish, or you can look her up at Bloom and Flourish 2, the number 2. Okay? But so real quick, okay? Or you can just contact us, like I said, if you'd like to contact us to get further information with her business and things like that, and herbalism and stuff. You can contact her if you're on the podcast, if you're on YouTube, if you're on TikTok, you can just look in the description of the video or the podcast. If you're on TikTok, you can look on our main page, click on the link tree, email us or text us at that number. Okay. Amen. Right. Oh, hey, how you doing? Awesome, Blossom. So what were we doing? Okay. So side effects that come to stuff. Even if people mean well, you have to still look at what's natural, right? And what's artificial. Why do you think that there's pollution problems from cars? And I want you to think, okay, well, you're just gonna have to roll with me on this. It's not as simple, or put it this way, why do you think that the car was even created? And it's actually, the answer's in your engine, believe it or not. Well, why do you think that the car was created? See, now that we got a nice foundation, we can start really diving into some of the stuff, even if you feel it's esoteric, whatever. Why do you think the car was created? Our first response would be to something that we think would be natural, right? And it might have been a natural thought process to get us here, but it's not. Cars are obviously not natural. They're not nature. There you go, more horsepower. So going off that, why do we think the car was created? There we go, to harness horsepower, or in other words, to have you ride in a car instead of a horse, right? Now, why do you think that they wanted you to ride in a car or an automobile and not a horse? Because the horse is what transferred the mobile carriage, right? But why did they make an automobile? Commerce. Kind of, it became, I mean, everything becomes commerce, but it was actually originally the intent was righteous. You said to pull you away from your nature. It's ultimately done that. There we go. To stop pollution. They actually made the car to stop pollution. What kind of pollution do you think that they were trying to stop? Now, yes, could they have found oil and stuff, but that wasn't even necessarily how the first cars even ran, for real, or at least not the same way off of oil that they do now, right? So some of that stuff can go in there, but I'm gonna say surface level just for a second, because what you're saying is right, Brother Vincent. But I'm gonna say surface level just for a sec, right? So what kind of pollution do you think came from horses? And if horses were everywhere, what kind of pollution do you think was there? There you go. Fecal matter, right? Number 2, horse manure, right? Even if they didn't get it all over the ground, even if they were able to catch some of that stuff in those horse bags that they tried to use, which really didn't never really work correctly, you still have this horse manure all over the place, right? So they tried their best. They tried their best, therefore, to try and stop pollution all over, right? And just keep horses need. And therefore, when you travel, we can just have it where we don't have pollution there. You took something, right, that really was natural anyways, and you tried to make an artificial version of it so that you could have horsepower to pull you places. What's the side effect? Right? What's the side effect of trying to pick up that excess manure? See, now we have a side effect. The side effect is what? Air pollution. Right? So it might have even started off with a righteous intent. Many people, right? There's an old saying, what, that the road to hell is paved with righteous intentions, with great intentions. Like yeah, it might have started off with a righteous mindset, but people didn't think about, when I go into the artificial, there must be a side effect. Because to be natural is to be holy, or to be whole, to be one with. right? So, right, even with people who do things unnatural to animals, it is not natural for a bunch of cows. Matter of fact, cows, the way that we think of them nowadays, almost all of them that you're getting your milk from these dairy farms, they are cows that were manipulated and bred over and over and over again to breed out anything that might cause them to go against you, to make them heavier for meat, right? To make them heavier as far as producing milk, right? And to produce things to where they can, be in a position that when they're pregnant, right, and also to be impregnated even artificially, right? Like we don't even think about the fact when you're drinking a cow's milk, right? You're even drinking milk from a cow that's pregnant or from a cow that has a calf, and you're actually taking the calf's milk, the calf's food, right? They might even sometimes give the calf uh, artificial food, which means now you're dealing with artificial meat you're eating and artificial milk you're drinking, etc. Right? And you're dealing with pus because a lot of the cow's milk. Well, first of all, milk is blood, period, right? And we're not supposed to drink the milk or the blood of another animal. But if if you're going to go ahead and do so, right? Like when you're dealing with the milk of another animal, because we're the only animals. If you consider yourself an animal, I don't consider myself to be an animal, but a lot of y'all do. So I'll say it like this: we are the only natural beings that have decided that once we are finished being children, that we're still going to eat milk, right? We're the only ones. You say you come from apes, some of y'all, but apes know when they get to a certain age, they don't look for their mama's teat anymore, right? You say you come from animals, well, cows, as much milk as they give you, they know that when they get to a certain age, they're not supposed to drink it anymore, right? Matter of fact, they can't produce milk from milk. You know what I'm saying? They don't produce milk from milk. They need vegetation to produce milk for you, right? But some of you drink milk to try to even produce milk. But animals have more sense than human beings do sometimes, right? Or we're allowed to have so much sense sometimes that it doesn't make sense. We got so much sense that it doesn't add up to dollars. But we live so artificially, we don't even think about it. Once again, you tell me the animal. You go and look for the animal that keeps drinking milk as an adult. Yeah, that's why many of us, especially many Afrocentric people, are just people who are melanated, because the more melanin, the more stuff your body adjusts. But now are there tribes of people that do drink milk? Yeah, but usually it's going to be for emergency, or it's supposed to be something that's like every once in a while we have this, or this is like really rich living. But it's not supposed to be something you happen all the time. And you're not going to find these animals that are living off milk, right? But watch this. You were artificially told the animals do that. I used to think when I was younger, because of all these cartoons that were out, I used to think that cats drink milk. I don't know if any of y'all ever believed that too. I fell for the Okie dude. I thought the cats drank milk because that's what it showed on cartoons. Why would they lie to a child? It's my thought process. I didn't realize that people made stuff up on cartoons. Why would they lie to a child? I didn't know that cats did not drink milk. Yeah, cats don't drink milk. I have a cat. I had two at one point, but I have a cat still. One of them. She doesn't drink milk. She look at you like you're crazy. You giving me milk? Like this is what we doing out here? Like that's what she look at like what you doing? What you doing, Negro? We don't do this over here. Why are you giving me this milk? Right? But we have it in our mind that they do because we were given a false image. In our mind, cats must drink milk because they fed it to you. They fed you that intelligence. And so that's what you went with. That's what you believed. They fed you a fake intelligence. They fed you something that's not real. Cats do not drink milk. Cats don't want milk. Cats are not trying to have milk. Cats don't think that milk is great. Just because Tom, when he was chasing Jerry around, drink milk doesn't mean that you should be drinking it. But we have this philosophy in our head. Why? Because somebody told us that. Somebody got us to believe. And so now we're sitting there doing it. But you as a human being, as an adult, you should not be drinking milk. They even put it on a pyramid. Y'all remember the food pyramid that now we know is trash? You guys remember the food pyramid from back in the day? And in the food pyramid, what did they tell you? In the food pyramid, they told you what? Told you you're supposed to have milk. In your cereal, what were you supposed to have? Supposed to have milk, part of a balanced breakfast. That's what they said, right? Y'all remember that? Now part of a balanced breakfast. You see it after your cartoons and all that. Right? You loved, right? Matter of fact, some of you don't like the cereal if the milk isn't exactly like this or like that. But it's not for you. You don't need it. Matter of fact, your breakfast doesn't have to be when you wake up in the rising, correct? I'm not sure if cow's milk makes bodies more brittle or not. I can't argue that yes or no. I can't really say that for sure, in all honesty. So I'd have to tap out of that part of the conversation. Right? And how you doing, Sister Judith? How you doing, up and away? How you doing, all it takes is a mustard seed? Right? And everybody on all the platforms, we appreciate you so much, whether you joined us on the podcast, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, or TikTok. Right? But we have this artificial sense of things, and it's deeper than what we think it is. They're messing with us. They've messed us up so much that we look to the artificial. Thank you for the love, appreciate you. Right? They've messed us up so very much that we look to the artificial more so than reality. Right? Break fast just simply means you start eating again. So every time you eat, you break fast. But in your mind, breakfast must be what? When I eat. Right? That's in our minds. Breakfast has to be when I eat. So in our mind, hey, breakfast means I break fast. But that's not necessarily how it works. Right? So those of you who ate breakfast already, when you eat lunch, you're just having breakfast again. And when you eat dinner, you're just having breakfast again. Right? Technically, I know some of y'all don't like to think of it this way, so I won't give it to you. But technically, if you have water and you actually put like electrolytes and things in there to be able to drink with it, right? Then you are eating water. So when you eat the water, you eat breakfast. Right? But artificial intelligence started a long time ago. Artificial intelligence started a long time ago when they started to get you to identify with the artificial more so than the real. Right? And that's what our issue has become, is that we identify more with the artificial than the real. Why? Right? We identify with more of the artificial than the real. Right? What is your last name? And then you say, right? Now think about this. What is your last name? And now think about, why can't you identify where your people come from? People don't like that. Hear what I just said. What is your last name? And now ask yourself, why don't you identify with the people you come from? You identify with more artificial than you do with reality. I'll say it again. I don't want this to go over anybody's head. I don't think this is really, but I just want to make sure, right? What is your last name? And why do you identify with the artificial more than the real? Amen. See, it's a slave master's name for most of us. You think Washington is the name of your people? Whether you talk about indigenous to the Americas or otherwise. Why is it that so many people wanted to have Scarface in their houses? Y'all remember MTV cribs, which were never, by the way, that was artificial, because those weren't ever even the people's houses, whether they could afford a big house or not. They didn't want you to know what their house looked like, where it was, and you never thought to yourself, man, their house is like immaculate. It's so clean. It looks like nobody's in there. And so some of y'all were raised now to try and make your house look like those houses you saw in MTV cribs. But houses that people live in should look like houses that people live in. I'm not saying they should be dirty. I'm not saying they should be cluttered, but they should look like somebody lives in there. But you have an artificial intelligence about you, don't you? You've been programmed. By the way, you when you go to hotels, think about this. Think about this, my people, right? Think about this nation. Think about this people. Um, when you go, hear me out. When you go to a hotel, why do y'all try to make sure that the hotel looks clean and the bed is made and everything before you leave out? I know I'm not the only one that used to do this. I've just now started being okay with leaving it like where the bed's not made, but I still make sure it's clean. I just okay got right, but I used to clean up and try to make sure it looked better, right? Than when I wanted to make sure it was better than I left, right? I'm sorry, I want to make sure that it was that when I left it was better. What's the saying? I'm messing it up. It needs to be better when I left than when I got there, something like that. A lot of people have that in them. You know where that came from? It came from the same place that gives you sayings that say stuff like, you got to do twice as much to get half as, or I'm sorry, you got to do twice as much to get half as much. Leave it better than when you came. There we go. Thank you, Sage. Leave it better than when you came, right? I got to work twice as hard to get half as much. I got to leave it better than when I came. Yeah. And mama used to say that. Grandmama used to say that. Leave it better than when you came. Even our prayers, right? And I'm not trying to say you shouldn't pray this because I pray this sometimes, but even our prayer life, it's crept in, right? I don't mean it the same way we do when we talk about the hotel, but a lot of us even pray. What we pray a prayer very similar to that. We pray that our houses are better. That our houses are better, right? That when we get back to our destinations, that they be better than when we left. We've been trained. Right? And the reality is in your mind, right? It's the same reality that when you go to a restaurant. Some of y'all don't even like the service you get, but you still tip. Number one, thank you for tipping people because they need the money, right? But number two, reality, you tip because in your mind, I don't want to be a bad tipper. And in a lot of your minds, especially in our diaspora, we start thinking, how is this going to make other people look when they come in? How is this going to make, right? Because in our diaspora, real talk, this is why I make it plain to say, like, look, this is cultural, and some people are going to be with this, some people aren't. I don't believe that all skin folk are kinfolk. I don't believe that just because somebody looks like me, I should automatically be listening to everything they have to say. But real talk now, real talk. A lot of us, a lot of our decisions we make, we're like, man, if I'm the only black person in my neighborhood and I do this, everybody in my neighborhood is going to think that black people. Da, 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 da. If I show up to this hotel, I should really get off on them. But you know what? What if I do? I don't want to be the angry black woman. I don't want to be that good for nothing Negro. You carry this intel with you that's based off of a false version of you, a false narrative, because it should have never been anything that you identified with, but you identify with it now. Some people see this and they go, man, your hair, you must be dirty, you must be smelly. They come on, make fun of you, say stupid stuff like that, right? They come on, oh man, you know what? You don't have a job. Go get a job. Why are you still sitting here talking? Go get a job. First of all, you're listening to me, so why don't you go to your job? But number two, I don't need a 9 to 5 to exist. But you were told that you needed a 9 to 5. This is artificial intelligence. Do you need a 9 to 5 to exist? Do you have to, in order to get the 9 to 5, should you have to? I'm not saying if you want to have your hair and style it up, shape up, get your parts, whatever you want to do, go do you, right? What I'm saying is, should you have to do that to fit into corporate America? I mean, technically you should because it's their corporation, but should you have to do that to exist? And do you have to do it to exist? You gotta start asking yourself questions. Yeah, the Bible says if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat, man. Exactly. Not that he shouldn't toil. So your jobs are toiling, not work. A lot of people go to their job to toil. Some of y'all toil 80 hours plus a week, but have no clue what your work is. I can come to the same person that toils for somebody else and make sure that their coffers are full, and I can come to them and I can say, what's your purpose? Because purpose should be fueled by reality. And if I'm going to toil, I should at least toil so that I can be in my work. See, my work is my son. So I had to separate from the system because I got to raise that boy. And I got some generational curses that are out of this world that would shock a lot of y'all. If y'all do some of the stuff that I actually have been through and had to come through, and some of the stuff that still is in my flesh, and some of the stuff that sometimes resides in corners of the deep recesses of my heart, that somehow, some way try to jump out of my body to be able to leap upon somebody else in a negative fashion. Some of you would be shocked at some of the things that I've come out of. So I got to raise that boy because I know what's in his blood. I got to raise that boy because I know what's in his blood. And I got to make sure that he sees things that his father never saw so that he doesn't have to see things that his father ever saw. Thank you, Holy Spirit. That's a bar right there. I've got to make sure he sees things that his father never saw so that he sees things that his father never saw. I also got to make sure he sees things that his father never saw so that he won't have to see things, at least not through the prism of actually having to have the hands-on experience. He can experience it through his father saying, hey, son, I'm done, later on. We can have that conversation, but he don't need to put his hands on it. He doesn't need to put his hands on the stove to realize the stove is hot, right? I was that dude that had to put his hands on the radiator, right? For those of y'all who know about radiators, a lot of y'all don't even have radiators no more. But back in the day when you had the radiator, I was that dude that had to put his hand on the radiator to figure out, I shouldn't touch it. Even though mama said, and daddy said, and grandmama said, and grandpapa said, and everybody said for the longest time, don't put your hand on there. There's some things he's not going to have to put his hands on because he's not going to have the desire. Thank you for the love. How you doing, Jan Lee? Right? He's not going to have the desire. He's not going to even think that it's righteous. It doesn't make sense for him to right? It doesn't make sense for him to think that it's weird. Like some of your children, right, have been raised. Some of our children, or your child, right? Because I know children, what it means lawfully for some people, right? But some of your children, some of your offspring, I don't like to call them offspring, but some of your children, the next generation, your prince, your princess, they don't even necessarily know where food comes from. Right? Y'all know this, right? How you doing, Jimmy? Right? You guys know this. Some people don't even know where food comes from. Some children. Some children, if you say, where does the egg come from? They don't even say chicken. They say the store. You say, where does milk come from? They don't say a cow. They say the store. It's become so artificial. They're talking about they go to school so that they can have a carton of milk. And you're the only beings, natural beings, that still choose to drink milk. I'm just saying something's up. Something's not making sense. Right? And yeah, some adults, because these things creep into you as children, and now you don't let go of it. You don't let go of it. You've continued the same thing. And now here you are as children trying to be husbands, children trying to be wives. And you've never even learned what it is to let go of things. Like there are some things in you that should be a child's exuberance, a child's faith, a child's belief, a child's go-get attitude, the calling and the gift that you have in your life from a child. There's certain things you should have that are still in you. You're eternal. The child in you is the king in you. The king in you is the child in you. The child in you is the queen in you. The queen in you is the child in you. That being said, there's certain things that you should have got off of when you was a child that you're still carrying. There are certain things that you should not have kept on carrying. There's certain things that you should have left alone a long time ago. Why do you treat your husband like an accessory? That's because Barbie has accessories. She has Barbie. Barbie has clothes. Barbie has Barbie's house. There's Barbie's dream house. There's Barbie's Malibu. There's Barbie's car. There's Barbie's pony. There's Barbie's horse. There's Barbie's ranch. There's Barbie's combs. There's even different types of Barbies. So Barbie's skin is now an accessory. You can just change it up to whatever you want. But then there's also Barbie's kin. Kin is an accessory. And so when you were young, right, you played with Barbie, and Ken was an accessory. And so whatever Barbie wanted, everything belonged to Barbie, including Ken. And so when you played, Ken could read Barbie's mind, and Ken was going to do whatever Barbie said. Now you run into a husband and not a Ken, and you're mad that your husband doesn't operate like Ken, but you don't. He doesn't read your mind. Come on, sisters. I'm not saying every sister does this. Brothers do this sometimes too, right? I'm just talking about the sisters. We can flip over to the brothers in a second. Okay. I'm not, right? Those of you who've been with me long enough, you know my heart. This is not men against women. I don't do that, right? But let's be honest now. All that's been said, sisters, is it not reality? Isn't that reality that there's some sisters out there and brothers? Y'all know this to be true too. That sometimes there are sisters out there. Don't raise your hand. Don't say it's you. Don't say it's somebody you know. But just hear me for a second. Isn't that reality? Unfortunately, some sisters live in the artificial, where they think that the guy should know exactly what's wrong, especially if y'all haven't talked about love languages. You didn't discuss this when you were dating. Nobody taught you this from when you were young, all these different things or whatever. And so in your mind, you're just like, you should know how I feel. And so your husband says, or your boyfriend says, your little friend, as they say down south, says, he says, is everything okay? You say, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine. And you sitting there bubbling up on the inside. He comes again. He says, are you sure everything's okay? Yeah, everything's fine. Why you keep asking me if everything's fine? All right. And then in your mind, what do? See, he don't really love me. He doesn't really care. He doesn't really think about me that way. That's artificial thought process. If he's never been turned, first of all, if he doesn't even know your love language, when I say 5 love languages, a lot of y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read books like Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, heck, if you don't even know what the actual process of marriage is supposed to be, you're dealing in an artificial intelligence. I do this sometimes myself, where I be thinking, oh man, so sister so-and-so, brother so-and-so must be thinking that I meant this. So they haven't talked to me in a while, so they must think. And I go through all these emotional pulls in my head, but I don't say anything out loud because I'm like, I have this thing in me that says, maybe you freaking out. And maybe that's how you think, but that doesn't mean that's how they think. Sure enough, finally we have a conversation and they're like, oh, right? Like, I'm like, oh, okay. I don't even tell them what I was thinking, and come to find out, yeah, Kofi, my bad. I just been busy, or somebody in my family got sick, or I was under the weather, or blah blah. And I'm like, oh, in my mind, I've gone through this whole song and dance. They must be mad at me. You know what I'm saying? That's artificial. If anything, I could have reached out to them and said, hey, are y'all mad? Everything all right? Even if I didn't say y'all mad, I could have reached out. Y'all all right? Y'all straight? And you're giving so much effort to the artificial. Right? Brothers do it too. Especially let these brothers have been hurt before. I know brothers want to act like y'all ain't been hurt before, but these brothers out here have been hurt before, right? Your wife, your woman, your girlfriend, whatever, she does something. And when she does something, it reminds you of what somebody else did, and you're ready to give up. Or you lost a relationship before, and it seems like you're going through something similar, and you're ready to tap out. And she has no clue that you're there. She has no clue that you're hurt. You were with somebody else before, and when you cried in front of them, they told you man up, as if they knew what man up meant. And so now you're with somebody who respects you in your manhood, and she's trying to, and she's there ready to be there for you, but she doesn't even know she needs to be there. And in your mind, oh, well, she wouldn't care anyways if I told her. Or in your mind, she must not care. And now you've gotten to a place where you've taken away your helpmeet's ability to help. You see what I'm saying? You taking away your helpmeet's ability to help, y'all. She's designed to help you and to help you to multiply. She has a womb that you plant the seed inside of and it multiplies. She's the incubator. She takes your idea and she incubates it and it grows into a baby. She takes your idea, she incubates it, it turns into a business. She takes your idea, she incubates it, she turns it into a meal. She takes your dollar, right? She incubates it, it becomes a home. Yes, you're the foundation of the house, but she's the one that takes the house and makes it a home. And the word house in Hebrew is interchangeable, by the way. It means family as well. So your family doesn't even become a home without her. And look at Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8. The husband, or the husband gives instruction. The wife lays down the law. The father gives instruction. The mother lays down the law. So you give the instruction, but she takes the instruction and puts parameters around it because law protects your rights. So you have the right to give Elohim-like instruction in your house. She sees the mission of it because she's not in submission, she's in submission. So as long as your mission is on point, she says, oh, I like that. Yeah, I got you, baby. And she makes laws that all the children do. This is why your parents and stuff to you. This is why your mama would say stuff to you like, hey, don't make me tell your daddy when you get home. And everybody knew that was her saying, this is daddy's direction. This is why I'm laying down the law. And if you don't listen to the law, daddy gonna come here and he gonna go ahead and do what? He gonna not lay down the law. He gonna lay that hand down. He gonna lay the smack it down, as the Rock might say, right? And thank you for the love, appreciate it, right? He gonna come down and he gonna lay it the smack it down on your candy, you know what, right? So don't let daddy find out about it, because if daddy found out about it, he ain't coming to talk. Mama's kind of lay down the law because daddy's direction is being protected. And she makes it a home based off of what? Based off of the fact that she's getting protection from the direction. Because a woman's number one need is not direction first. She wants protection. This is why a lot of women will follow the direction of fools, because at least the fool will protect her. At least the fool will give her security. And at least he'll give her some kind of affection. He might smack her around, but he'll still give her more security than you give her. I'm not saying he should smack her around. That's foolishness. That's not manlike behavior. And if you're dealing with that, you should stay away from it, right? I'm just trying to inform you that there are a lot of people that are out here that don't recognize how this works. It's not submission, it's submission. If you have a mission and part of the mission protects the wife, she will listen. Just like a man's number one need is respect. A lot of times women are trying to get men to bend to their will, right? And that's a problem, to bend to your will rather than the will of the Most High. But you're trying to get men to bend to their will or even move them in a righteous direction, but you use non-righteous means. A man's number one need is what? Is respect. That's his security. So when you disrespect him and cuss him out and call him this and call him that and say you just like your daddy and say you don't listen and say you good for nothing and blah, blah, you don't know what a man is and you ain't never going to be, and you start speaking in those terms, guess what you've done? You've turned off the nature of a man, of a real man. Now, this isn't our culture. If this is not your culture, that's fine. Some of y'all are in the pimp behavior and you think that what I'm talking about is simp behavior. But I'm trying to tell you that's artificial intelligence. Because I'm not looking for hoes. I'm not looking for a wifey. You know, a wifey is just another term for a hoe or for even a sex trafficked slave. That's where the term wifey comes from. I'm not looking for a wifey. I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking for one syllable, not two. I'm looking for one mind, not two. That's the vision. Right? And when you find her, she should already be a wife. Problem is that you guys try to find girls, hope that they're women, right? You look for things that little girls do. You look for things that, like, what's the shape of her body? Like little boys look for what's the shape of her body. Ooh, her breast is just coming in. Ooh, I'm attracted by that. You even do things that like mess with them, like little boys. You know, like back in school, little boys would hit girls. They throw things at them. They mess with them. They bully them. And that was supposed to be the way that you showed that you liked them, because nobody taught you from a child how to treat a wife. So now you get to be older and you use some of those same things. You've been fed artificial intelligence. It's artificial. You live in the artificial. You don't live in the real. And you defend your artificial perspective. The red pill stuff has jumped up so much to now where you guys are getting into artificial stuff so much to where now people are trying to say that there's a whole argument now, this whole red pill thing. And now people in the red pill environment are trying to stay away from other people in the red pill environment and starting to say, well, maybe I identify more with what women want, what men want, or whatever. Has become this whole confusing thing. And one of the newest things is that, and I don't know, he's supposed to be called the godfather of the red pill movement or something like that. His newest thing now is he calls it within the manosphere or something like that. I heard him say, or something like that. But his newest thing now is that in order to be a high value man, you should get a vasectomy, right? basically once you in your early 20s, or even when you're a teenage boy, but probably in your early 20s, so you can do it legally, I guess. And basically from there, you're supposed to have sex with as many women as you want, only focus on career, never have a relationship, and then when you're ready for it, you can try and have the vasectomy reversed. And once you have it reversed, now you can have babies again. That's the newest thing that's out there. Look it up. Look up vasectomy red pill. You'll probably find it. If you look up vasectomy red pill, you'll probably find the conversation that's been floating around. And it's got, why did it get to that point? Because the whole thing of brothers trying to have sex without even thinking that a byproduct of it could possibly be a child was always foolish. It was always folly. You catch that? That is a ridiculous premise. Matter of fact, if we can go even deeper, before that became a thing, you know that there were grandmothers or mothers of boys that were single mothers that were like, hey, I don't know if this boy is going to act right, and I'm too old to be a grandmother, or I don't even want to ever be a grandmother because she felt unprotected, not secure. She didn't get affection. She felt like men were trash, all this stuff. So she was like, rather than deal with that stuff, she was talking about trying to see if she could get her 14-year-old boy a vasectomy. 14 years old. Trying to make sure he can't have children. But then it also comes away from something called accountability. See, accountability is real. See what lack of accountability starts? And by the way, Sister Betty, if you're still on, I think I saw you come on earlier. Hello, if I didn't say hello earlier, right? See what lack of accountability gets? You're not being accountable is not real. You're always looking to escape reality is artificial. Your intelligence levels that you've been given are coming from artificial places. Some people say amen because that's just another language's way of saying amen or aman, right? In Hebrew, you would actually say aman, or original Hebrew, right? But anyways, so we're going through a lot of stuff that's coming from artificial places. It's not even part of the culture. We're so busy talking about the phone and this and that. They're using this stuff. One of the main reasons why I got into this, my wife and I were having a conversation. We were actually going to go into this yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Hold on. We were going to, yesterday, even though yesterday was Q&A. I was going to start off with this. I was actually going to start off with it on Saturday. But Saturday, the Most High gave us somewhere else to go. Sunday, y'all started asking questions, so we went to Q&A. And so today, it was finally allowed, right? But my wife and I had actually showed her this thing on AI. And I talked about this somewhat for those who were part of Early Rising Bible Study session this rising, right? There's programming now to where guys are paying $1 a minute to be able to have fake relationships. Guys are paying $1 a minute to be able to have fake girlfriends, to have AI girlfriends. I'm not talking about just sex dolls or anything like that. Forgive me, children. I apologize. I should have warned before I said that. I'm not talking about stuff just like that. I'm not talking about people that go to the store and get, the toys and all those things. I'm talking about amen. I'm talking about people are going online, paying $1 a minute so that they can have a conversation with a voice that says, hey, how was your day? Did you work out? I'm thinking about you. Even as much as the company say it doesn't, they start talking about sexual things, or I wish you were here. Maybe you should go ahead and do da-da-da-da to yourself. You hear what I'm saying? Like, these are things that are going on constantly and consistently. And what's really sad about it is we don't recognize it came from an artificial place already. Once again, because we destroyed. This is what's happened. And I'm not saying that sisters, y'all haven't gone through this, because you guys ultimately probably went through a much deeper version of it before now. Brothers have started going into the deeper version. But when you emasculate somebody enough, this is the result. Well, a whole generation of people that got raised by a computer. But think about this, right? If you emasculate people enough, right? And they still, right? Okay, watch this. they've given statistics that are very disturbing. Something like 30 to 40%, and this is obviously certain people who are interviewed, so it's not everybody, right? This is a microcosm, I believe, of the situation going on, where you have like 30 to, I think it's like up to 40% of young men that were asked, um, do they even feel comfortable talking to a woman anymore? Not just for relationships, just in general, talking to a female, if you will, or talking to somebody who's thought to be a woman, if you want to go there. 40% of them say they're not comfortable anymore. It's not as simple as just the computer. The computer has accelerated some of this, but because watch this, if you try to talk to somebody, now once again, I'm not talking about catcalling, right? I'm not talking about, oh, look at that girl over there. Hey, what's up, baby? I see you over there. Can I get some of that? I'm not talking about that. I can't whistle, but I'm not talking about that. Oh, there we go. Right? I'm not talking about that. Right? I'm talking about they don't feel like they can go and talk to you because if they go and talk to you, a lot of stuff is. Let me give you an example. A lot of stuff is just thought to be wrong or is already put, we're already made patriarchy, this, that, whatever. You ready? Watch this. This is years ago. This has got to be 12, 13 years ago. I'm doing maybe even longer, doing the interim pastor thing at the time, still going to church and all that stuff. I am the interim pastor. I'm also the head musician. I also got to teach the babies while the adults are doing Sunday school, all that. I got a lot of stuff I got to do to make sure that the church is running, right? Somebody comes in, and when they come in, it's a woman. She comes in, and she's actually a daughter of a family that actually, like I was cool with, whatever. So she comes in. It's the first time I've seen her there at church. She's coming there to get a word or whatever. And so she walks up. I see her ring on her finger, everything. I'm not approaching her as anything or whatever. I just come over and I say, hey, I'm Minister Kofi. Nice to talk to you. Interim pastor here. And hopefully you enjoy the service today. First response out of her mouth, I'm Mrs. So-and-so, and reaches her hand out, and she does so in like a way to make it clear, like, why are you coming to talk to me? You're supposed to be a pastor. You're supposed to be a minister. Why are you coming to talk to me? And so I just give her a look. I get out my flesh. I say, well, it's nice to have you here, Mrs. So-and-so. And then I go to teach the children. In my mind, I was a little frustrated with it. It messed with me, but I was okay. It was whatever. But I'm just sitting there the whole time like, well, I'm the pastor. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to not say hello to you? Right? But there's uncomfortable conversations that must be had. Now, I get it too, because part of the uncomfortable conversation is apparently anybody who comes up to her and talks to her is only looking for one thing from her. I'll admit that, right? That must be a part of the issue. So I'm not going to act like she's just doing this randomly because she's a bad person, because she's a woman, or because she's a black woman, right? I get it. I'll be empathetic. But can you see now, just something like that? Now, Matt, and this is somebody who's supposed to be the pastor of the church at the time. This is supposed to be somebody who's the pastor of the church. I'm just coming by to say, like, thanks for coming. Appreciate your presence. Glad to meet you. You should probably know me because there's only like one right now. I was the only person, and then eventually I had 5 people that came with me. But right now I'm the only person on the ministerial staff. We got 2 deacons, 1 person ministerial staff. You should probably know how the leadership works. And instead, her thing was whatever. Later on, I would meet her and her husband was into some stuff, and she was trying to hold on, and I would even see, right? Like, this is how Yah said those things, where I would actually meet her again later on. I would actually have a relationship with her husband as far as being friends, and find out her husband had issues where he ended up in and out of prison and stuff. And she was going through a lot of stuff, trying her best to still make a marriage work. So I still saw why it happened. That's what I'm saying. I'm very careful to not say I'm the judge. I have no heaven or hell to put you in. But I must recognize, I must be real and say that, hey, I can see where if that's what's happening in that kind of situation, what's happening with brothers that, like, for example, I held the door. I've done this before. I always hold the door. My wife will tell you, right? My son does it, right? People who are around me will tell you, I hold the door for women. It's just something that I do, something I was taught to do. Heck, I had to do it just out of necessity. When I was young, my mother had multiple sclerosis. She passed away from it over 20 years ago. When I was really young, she was in a She was in a wheelchair. So basically, anytime I went anywhere, not only was I usually the one who's going to wheel her in and out, but if somebody else was going to wheel her in and out, or if she was strong enough at that day to try and push herself somewhere, the door always had to be open. It's just something I do, right? However, I've opened the door for sisters before and gotten attitude. Go ahead. Sometimes even because I don't need no man to open the door. Or sometimes it's from, right? Like sometimes it's from, oh, what you trying to do, what you trying to say, what you trying to look. I open doors for women. I come from a family where men open doors for women. We thought that was what you would call chivalrous. But once again, if you're in a situation where that's what you've been fed, whether somebody told you that's what men do or men have done that to you before, because I'm not going to act like there's never been a man. And if I can be honest, in my flesh, probably when I was younger or something, I probably looked at a girl who was shaped a certain way and probably would looked and shouldn't have looked. All right. So I'm not going to act like I'm innocent and everything. I've never made a mistake. I've never done anything like that. But I'm just trying to say, if that's what is out here, now think about that kind of thought process and how now through social media, that's everywhere. Right? Like y'all know, if you're, I have to be careful. If I'm texting somebody and if they're of a certain generation, if they're really young, if we say thumbs up, remember when we were young and you watch a movie and somebody be like, right? That meant something that was great. It was corny. But somebody went, you were like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, cool. Right. Sometimes even still in my adulthood, I still be corny sometimes and be like, right. If somebody does something, I'm really excited, or my son does something, I can't yell at him or speak to him, but I want him to know, yeah, you're doing it. Right. Like, but if you text, apparently, some people, if you text a thumbs up to somebody, apparently they say that's sarcastic. Right? Because they have somebody fed them intelligence a long time ago to say if somebody does this, it only means that you're being sarcastic. So I might be trying to say something in reality and say, hey man, that was great. Or I'm gonna catch you, or I agree. Okay, talk to you later. I do that a lot. People that text me, you can vouch. I do that quite a bit. Like I'll put a thumbs up to let you know. And usually it's because thank you for that. But young people, if they see that, they've been taught you sarcastic. So this kind of thought process permeates stuff so much so where now the ones with less experience, who don't know what's happened to them, who've been told to get away from their story, who are led by false media, false mediums, false media, right? The ones who are led by this, excuse me. Excuse me. So the ones who are led by false media, they give a false narrative. I don't know when it changed. I just know I was watching something and somebody was saying that. I was like, oh, okay, let me take note of that. So if I talk to a young person, I don't do this because they'll think that I'm being sarcastic. I didn't know that, right? Or just like, it's slight little changes. For example, when you have less experience, you don't know what stuff means. Like there are some children that if you go like this, they don't know what that means. Even without you being able to see my finger, right? Because my hair is in the way. But even without you being able to see this, a lot of y'all already know that means he's saying on the phone. But they don't know what that is. But if you go like this, if you ask your child, say, pretend you're on the phone, they don't go like this. They go like this. Or it means call me, right? Call me, Yamame, right? But they need you to go like this. Now, back in the day, if I saw somebody go like this, I was thinking something like this or like this, meaning like, oh, okay, like you got an earpiece in or something like that. Or you're having a problem with your ear or something. They don't do this, though. They do this. Ask your child something. Right? Ask your child. Say, pretend you're on the phone. Ask an adult first to see if I'm lying. Ask an adult. Find a couple of adults saying, pretend you're on the phone. And most of them will go like this of a certain age. Most of them will go like this because we had phones that were like this, right? Ask a child. They go like this. Why? Because their experience is what tells them what's real or not, or their intel, the information they've been given. So you try to talk to a child about a telephone. Like, for example, we don't use telephones. If you're using a phone to listen to me, it's not a telephone. Because a telephone is a telegram phone, right? Phone, by the way, phone in the Greek means voice. So telephone means something that's teleporting your voice, or it's a telegram that actually works by your voice. Instead of somebody having to wire a telegram to where you read what they said, you can actually hear what they said. That's what a telephone is. We don't use telephones anymore. These are computers. You said your grandbaby's 4, she still knows what the phone signal means when you put your hand up. Hey, that's great, right? A lot of them don't. Right? Like my son, whenever I get a chance to, even to this day, I did it when he was young. I still do it now. Right? When he was real young, because he's still young, but when he's real young, and now he does now for years. And anytime I happen to see a payphone or a remnant of a payphone, I stop and I run over to it real quick. Even if it's just a glass casing and there's no phone in it, I make sure he sees it. I want him to know, hey, there was something here before this, right? But a lot of us don't know it because the only thing we have is based off of artificial intelligence. We have these new things that have been created, and nobody, and watch this, what's happening is there's no foundation. Yeah, children do some of that stuff too with the ear pods and not saying hello. And that's something too. Like we walk down the street, a lot of places now you walk down the street, people look down. They're afraid to look you in your eye and say hello. Even when racism was there, right? Even places that are still extremely racist, right? They'll still look you in the eye and say hello. They'll still give you, even though I don't use this greeting, but they'll still say good morning. Right? Even if you hated each other, like you're supposed to at least speak. Now you're supposed to love each other, but not speak. Now you'll be in the same room and somebody will text you a message instead of speak to you in a message. Artificial intelligence, there's no foundation. That's one of the problems with the artificial. It cannot be founded on anything. The only things that can be patented are things that cannot be founded upon anything. See, you got to get out of a patented mindset, out of a patented lifestyle. They're not founded on anything. This is why marriages don't work, because you think that you're supposed to date, but in your Bible, it never describes dating. It's not founded on anything. It has nothing to back it up. Right? They are like they have nothing to back it up. This is why what we do when we speak this, when we get this truth, and we give this knowledge, and we record these things, this is vital. It is extremely necessary that we have these conversations, because people are living lives that cannot be backed up. They are not founded. They're not grounded upon anything. You hear what I'm saying? These children are growing up with stuff that's not founded upon anything. Once again, what is your last name, and why do you put more stock in that than your people? Because that last name is not who you are. Just like the dollar we talked about earlier, going back to the same situations we were talking about earlier, right? Why do you put more stock in a fake version, a straw man version of you, than a real version of you? Why do you not search, right? Matter of fact, why do you put more time into being better for your job than you do into finding out who you are? Some of you today are going to put more effort into making sure your 9 to 5 is straight, or your 11 to 7, or your midnight shift, or your graveyard shift, whatever. You're going to put more into that than you are into being the best version of you. He said most don't know what language they speak in Idaho or who fought the French in the American War. Hey, matter of fact, those of you who are Navajo, what is your greeting? Those of you who are Cherokee, Tisalagi, Anakitawaya, Haudenosaunee, Aztec, Taino, Omekshi, Shwi, Mali, Timbuktu, Ghana, original Ghana, if you even know. Ashanti, Shwi, Asante, Zulu, Kemet, Swahili. Right? Like, who are you? Remember, we said this before. Who you are is more important than where you are. Artificial intelligence is trying to say, you're trying to tell people, hey, where you are, we're going to take you higher. No, who you are, I want to take you deeper. Right? If you're Kemetic, so to speak, because everybody just identifies with Kemet as if they even know if they have E1B1B blood. But If you're going to say, okay, I'm Kemetic, I'm going to be adopted into what Kemet says. Okay, fine. What are the 42 confessions of Ma'at? Like, be Kemet then. What does Kemetstry mean? Be Kemet. How can you tell if you're pregnant without having to buy a pregnancy test? Be Kemet. These are things that are Kemetic. How often do you make sure that your pituitary gland is righteous so that it can stimulate the pineal gland so that your hypothalamus might be able to take care of? This is Kemetstry. No problem. Thanks for being on, Wolf, right? This is Kemetstry. Who are you? See, this is why I'm talking about it. Your people ate poke salad. If you were to try to eat poke salad right now, a lot of y'all would die because you don't know that it's poisonous. But your people knew how to eat it. They still, some of them know how to eat it. Will you learn it so that it can be something you can have? Something you can make sure goes to the next generation? That it might be generational wealth, because you think generational wealth is just cash. Generational wealth is not straight cash only. Wealth is not just money. Wealth is not just money. Wealth is not just finances. But you're part of a system that has you artificially inseminated, right? You've been impregnated with ideas that don't make sense. There are women who are being told to remove their wombs because you have a fibroid cyst. But even if you remove the womb, the fibroid cyst will return. This is artificial intelligence at its finest, where they will tell you to remove a piece of yourself, be on what we tell you to be on medication-wise to alter who you are. By the way, when you remove the womb or parts of it, when you remove the fallopian tubes or parts of them, guess what happens, by the way? If you didn't know that, you're going to have problems with orgasms. Oh, I know we're not supposed to mention stuff like this because we're supposed to be too holy, but you're going to have problems with stuff like that. You're going to become that old maid that they already tell you you are. Because that stuff is supposed to move. A lot of your orgasmic experience is not just because they hit what they call the G-spot. A lot of that is because of the movement. And yes, this is for educational purposes only, right? But I just need you to know, like they're doing things, they do this all the time. They get you to remove a piece of who you are so that you can be under control. This is witchcraft at its finest. And we need to make sure that we put this spiritual witchcraft to death, because in the Bible it says a witchcraft deserves. It must, she must, that spirit must be put to death. He must be put to death. Any witch, any kind of witchcraft. This is what they're doing. They're diluting who you are so that they might be able to control the pieces that are still there. There's no such thing as once you get to a certain age, you don't need your womb anymore. Your womb is part of who you are. You said you worked in prison sitting. In there was women who in there that never had children, and they were doing, okay, I'm sorry. And they were doing what? Right? So if you want to get rid of the fibroid cyst, stop feeding them. Learn what feeds fibroids. Matter of fact, a lot of times your fibroid cysts come because you've had some kind of trauma and your body's trying to cover up the trauma, believe it or not. Oh, they've had hysterectomies. Yeah, a lot of women in prison get them because, remember, if you're in prison, what are you allowed to be? By law, you're allowed to be a prisoner. But we learned this on Saturday. Those who take Black's Law Dictionary 1 class with us, we talked about this on Saturday. Anytime you're detained, you're considered to be a prisoner. Now look up the definition by Black's Law Dictionary of what a prisoner is, and you'll discover that you're a slave. And the 13th Amendment says that anybody who's a prisoner, anybody imprisoned, it says that they are allowed to be treated as a slave. See, this is artificial intelligence. You think that somebody imprisoned, right, is just a prisoner, but you don't realize a prisoner by definition is anybody who's detained. So if they detain you for any reason, then guess what? You are a slave. Why do they not tell us this if they really want the best for you? Why does the doctor not look you in your eye and say, hey, if I give you this hysterectomy, You're going to have a lot of stuff in your life that's not going to be well. Why does the doctor not tell you that you should not remove somebody's tonsils? Tonsillitis. This is artificial thought process. You can survive with a tonsil. Nobody trying to survive. I'm trying to thrive. Tonsil is there for great cause. And by the way, if your tonsils are swelling, the reason more than likely has to do with digestion or has to do with stuff that you're having to where it's making it swell. Let's make sure that we figure out what's going on before we just cut it out. You know, people are cutting everything off. Yeah, it's there for a reason. In the military, they just pull your wisdom teeth because they say everybody's going to get infected in them. So they pulled my 2 lower ones. I never went back and let them pull my top ones. I was supposed to get them pulled at boot camp. They never did. Right. I went and got the bottom ones pulled and never got the other ones pulled. Right. These are fine. Never had a problem with them. But the place where they pulled them, guess what I have now? I have issues with my teeth because of when they pulled it. So I'm praying, and I've been doing a lot of stuff that's kind of held on to it. I was supposed to lose my teeth a while ago. Like there are times in my life I could feel like my stuff shaking inside and everything because they pulled my teeth. You're not supposed to pull your teeth. There's ways to clean your teeth and make sure that you're eating things and make sure that you have, you could have clove oil in there to make sure that you fight infection. It burns, but it's going to help. And it helps with the pain. But you're dealing with tooth pain, and tooth pain is crazy. I've had women tell me, I've had my wife tell me that tooth pain is when you get tooth pain that's really, really bad, it's worse than giving birth. I can't compare it, so I don't know. But I've had multiple sisters tell me that like tooth pain is crazy. So I've had tooth pain, and I don't know how y'all do it because my wife can walk around with tooth pain probably because she's designed to be able to have pain such as giving birth. But man, tooth pain, I look like I'm belligerent. I'm all I'm all over the place. I look like the Holy Spirit that called me. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah, have you in the bed? Under the bed. Yeah, for real. Right? We went to a hotel one time and we were sitting there chilling, all of a sudden out of nowhere, just what is this? And I was out. Don't even remember what the rest happened. She being a herbalist, she got the clove oil, put it on the tooth, put it on the Q-tip, and I kept some Q-tips on me. I fell asleep with the Q-tip in. Woke up, Q-tip hanging out my mouth. Dangerous. Didn't care. Don't remember anything. I just remember I could not function. I could not function, right? But somebody pulled my teeth. Right. So when people make fun of myself and make fun of my teeth sometimes and things like that or whatever, right? Like sometimes it's not because of what y'all think it is, right? So I don't talk about it that much. I won't bring it up anymore. I'm not mad. I'm just trying to say, like, my teeth are not even supposed to, I wasn't supposed to be able to chew. Supposedly. Right? We're getting this chip. I have a chip here. And y'all look at my, if you notice, I don't even know if y'all notice, I got a chip on the top one. It used to be a part of a fake tooth. I was being, rambunctious and stuff when I was young, and I was trying to jump over something that I couldn't clear it, so my feet got caught in it, and my body went like this, straight down. And praise God, I didn't hit my chin, right? Because I would have been like knocked out and it could have really did some real damage. But I landed right on my tooth, and when I landed on the tooth, I tried to play it off and everything. So I just immediately got up and ran into I think we were at a amusement park where I was trying to get on the ride or something like that. But so I just kept running like nothing happened, even though I busted myself up. It wasn't bleeding or anything. I landed like directly on the tooth. But basically, this was a fake tooth. I woke up one rising and part of the tooth was gone. And come to find out when I asked about it or whatever and trying to get it redone, it was like whatever they used before, it actually like messed up some of my stuff anyways. So they were talking about they going to have to remove this, remove that. I was like, no, I'm fine because y'all keep messing my stuff up. Y'all keep messing my grill up. So I'll just go ahead and say what I got, right? But artificial intelligence, it comes with these side effects. And people don't want to tell you the truth. They started getting you to give up pieces of who you were long ago. And the more you give up who you are, the less inclined you are to become who you are. Right? The more you give up who you are, the less inclined you are to become who you are. You have to give up. You have to sign away your rights. You have to sign yourself into prison. Yeah, nickel and stuff is not supposed to be assimilated, at least not in the way we do stuff, right? You got to sign your way into prison. You sign up, you buy. Remember, We told you this. I don't know if it's okay. It's not on. Yeah, there it is. Right. So it's 20. Right. And what does it say in your money? It has an oath. Right. It has an oath on your money. The oath says what? In God we trust. Right. In God we trust. There's an oath on there. There's an oath on that money. Right. What is an oath again? An oath is a promise to a deity or a promise to God. And I'm not just saying this randomly. I'm talking about by law. Look up the legal definition of oath. You will discover it's a promise to a deity or a promise to a God, right? So your money is a contract. So you pay money, you contract, you buy, you sign away your rights when you buy this fake food. What do you think happens to your heart when it keeps getting high fructose corn syrup? You signing up for it. What do you think's happening? What are you signing up for? What's the promise that you're making to somebody that you can go ahead and use this? Why are you doing that? I'm gonna show y'all something real quick. Y'all hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna show you a plant. I'm gonna bring a plant from outside. But I want to show you spending your money so you ain't gotta spend it all. Okay. So this right here, I'm gonna come around. Hold on. So this right here, hopefully you'll be able to see it on the screens that have some stuff up there. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. I don't know if you can. If not, I might have to take the. Okay, you can see it on Kofi _ 43. Okay, so yeah, give me a second. I'll bring it to everybody, right? But this right here, this is a succulent. Oh gosh, I'm getting in trouble. Dumping dirt on the inside of the house. Y'all pray for me. All right, this is a succulent, right? What kind of succulent is this? It's an aloe plant, right? And this is not a big, we've had ones much bigger than this, right? This is in another location from some of the ones we've shown you in the past, right? So this is an aloe plant. Doesn't need much water or anything. Matter of fact, it's designed to be able to hold in water. That's why you call stuff that's juicy succulent, right? This is a succulent. Oh, y'all can't see it on the other one. Okay, let me see if I put my body behind it, if y'all can see better. If it lets you see better. No, it's still on. Okay, I'm gonna have to take the screen down from y'all for just a second, so you guys can see what everybody else is seeing. Right, so this is a succulent, right? And in this succulent, right, there's water, but this comes with stuff that helps in a lot of different ways in your body, right? And you guys will go and buy this. But this started from something, we usually just go to places like Aldi's, and we'll buy those little tiny succulents. You know, the little tiny ones. You got to get the real ones. Sometimes some of these stores sell fake ones, but just go buy a succulent, one of these little tiny ones for like $1, $2. For $1, $2, this thing is going to grow into something that's going to be able to be used in so many different ways. If you get a burn, by the way, right? We've had situations here at the house where somebody had their skin burned. And guess what? You take this, you take the juice, you put it on there. The burn will stop. The burning sensation stops, right? I'm going to take this back outside real quick before I spill any more dirt again. Got to make sure I sweep up. But this is, it's a succulent. It's something that is there, but right, but this aloe plant is medicinal. You'll spend all types of money to get this. And the reality is you could just grow it. And this is something you could just literally go and get and let it grow. And here's the blessing. Right? Here's the blessing. Is that even if you're in a place like it doesn't need water or whatever, or not that much, right? So you can just literally take this outside, put it in front of the front door. You can take it outside, you can put it on the porch. You can take it outside, do something like that, right? And it takes care of itself. It holds the water for you. You don't have to worry about all the other stuff. It takes care of it. You don't have to worry about the rest of the stuff. Now that's medicine. And I love, and I don't like the taste of it per se, but I love to drink aloe juice. It's great for me. It makes me feel better. Yeah, cactus is succulent, all that, right? They hold in that water. They have the prickly stuff on them. 9 times out of 10, those are going to be a succulent if you see those, right? You have all that been using for 35 years. Praise yeah. Yeah, we record everything on our YouTube channel. So once again, if you want more information on how to reach out to us, if you're on TikTok, you can click on the link tree on our main page, and then you should be able to get to the YouTube channel, hashtag Find Kofi, or even our website if you want to find out how to text, email us about different things we do in the community, etc. How you doing, Sister Wendy? So these are things that we have access to. We keep looking for somebody else to give it to, but we have access to all these things. Right? We have access to this stuff. Sometimes we even go to the store, right, to get the aloe juice, those green ones or the light green ones or purple or pink or all these now flavored aloe things where they have pieces of aloe floating in there that aren't even really healthy anymore. And it comes with all this coloring and stuff like that. But that stuff has high fructose corn syrup in it too. It has high fructose corn syrup in it too. So unless you're getting the actual, like, I don't know if we have any anymore. We actually sometimes still buy like big containers of aloe juice. That's just straight aloe. But even in that, they still have to manipulate because you have to put preservatives and everything to kind of keep it. So if you're going to keep it around a long time, like aloe, like if we were to take that from the plant without it being treated correctly, like and try to put it in the refrigerator, pretty quickly, it's going to turn like kind of like pinkish sometimes, depending on the type of succulent, I guess. But you could just have it fresh. Once again, take the aloe. Like so, if you got a burn, somebody got a burn, or somebody's having something going on with their skin, right? Matter of fact, eczema. Those of you deal with that, I deal with it on my lips, as many of you can see. I usually be having chapped lips on there, but I deal with it in different places. But you don't really see it as bad as it is on some people. We've had little baby boys, a little baby boy that was a friend of our family. Um, and hopefully I should see him soon. It's been years since I've seen him, but hopefully we'll see him soon. But when he was still like 2, 3 years old, he had, up until then, we were helping his family treat it. And we would just simply get some aloe. We take some aloe and we literally just tell them put the juice on them and they rub it in or whatever. Sometimes we might add some other herbs to it, but basically you could just take straight aloe and it helped the skin to soften and he wouldn't itch, because when you got eczema real bad, you're doing that. But it would take care of the itching. Now, still, we were only dealing with the symptom. We never found out what was actually causing it. But yeah, there's a lot of people that deal with stuff. Matter of fact, you'd be surprised. See, this is why we got to go back to natural intelligence, the intelligence of nature, the nature of the Most High, right? This stuff is there for us all day, every day. Look, like, so what about, it works on hair as well? I didn't know that. I'm learning something there. Wow. If that's the case, then I'm definitely going to be using some because I like to put natural stuff in my hair more so than anything else. But yeah, like I'm trying to. Where was I going? Yeah, I mean, just so many simple things. Like ginger ale used to be something that people told you to take for your stomach. People still say take ginger ale for your stomach, but now ginger ale doesn't necessarily, it's not really real anymore. Sometimes they put natural flavoring in it and not natural flavor. Sometimes it actually has ginger. Some of them say now with real ginger, they still come in plastic and it still comes with all that other stuff in it, right? But the reason why they used to tell you to drink ginger ale all the time was because not just the bubbles help with the stomach, but ginger helps the stomach. So if you're having problems with your stomach, put some ginger in that piece, right? Chew up some ginger and eat, or get some actual ginger beer, like some real show enough ginger beer, not off the shelf. So I'm talking about, can somebody make some stuff from scratch? I love some real ginger beer, right? My grandmother, this is rather the Jamaican in me, right? But let my grandmother have made me some ginger beer. I'd be dancing around the house. Right? like get some of that in your life. That's something that's natural. By the way, grow your own ginger so you can eat the ginger greens, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, we've shown you that before. Take some ginger, buy some ginger from the store, use some of it to cook, sure, but leave 2, 3 of the roots alone. By the way, that's what ginger is. It's a root. The ginger that you guys are used to seeing, it's a root. You're eating the root. You're chopping up the root. So let the root stay there and let it start having some shoots grow. Once the shoot starts to grow enough, right? Take the ginger, right, and put it in some water. Make sure that it doesn't fall into the water, but you can put it in some water just like this. We've shown you how to do this before. You can put it on the windowsill, and put it in some water and let the roots start to come out of let that root start to grow and root into the water. Once it roots into the water and you've got shoots coming, while it's happening, you can still eat the shoots to be able to make sure that your stomach is okay. Once you finish that, yeah, I drink sorrel too, yeah. And once you finish drinking that, letting that happen, you got to make sure you keep renewing the water, right? So you'll have to dump the water out from time to time, put fresh water in, because water is supposed to be current, it's supposed to flow. So don't just let it get stuck in water only. It'll still grow, but it'll start doing some weird stuff on you, or you'll get some weird stuff out of it because the roots are going to soak up whatever's there. So if you're dealing with dirt, you're dealing with dirty ginger, right? So you want to make sure you're paying attention to that. But once that's finished, then put it in a pot. Put it in the pot and let it grow. Now you got ginger, and the ginger root will continue to grow, and you'll also have other ginger and offshoots of that. Take some of the offshoots now and do the same thing. Put that in some water, right? And let that root. And now you got another ginger and another ginger. Before you know it, now you got a whole bunch of ginger. Right? Like it's not, we make this thing because we're so into the artificial. So we walk into the store and our mindset is, I can only buy what they give me. Even if you've got to go into the world, be ye in the world, but not of it. Fine. I purchased this ginger the way the world says it is, but I'm going to take it home and I'm going to make it natural. And when you get to the next generation of ginger, by the way, it's no longer modified because it always has to come back to its original intent. Is okra great for the digestive tract? Don't give me the line. I'm not 100% sure. I believe it's great for digestion. It's going to be great for your, especially if it's like healthy green okra. It's obviously going to be great for your magnesium, which means it's going to help you to digest. At the end of the day, it's going to make sure that you have your enzymes will be developed correctly as far as digestive enzymes. Anything that's green has magnesium, and magnesium is what holds the chlorophyll in. So if you have magnesium in anything, you're going to be helping with your digestive system. But okra is also going to help. I don't know the other things. I know it for only a reason. I hope you don't think I'm perverted, but it is what it is. The main reason I know about okra that is great for you is if you're trying to make sure that you develop your reproductive system or certain reproductive organs, including even sperm, making sperm, or making a woman moist, wet. I don't know how to say it without sounding creepy. Or some of y'all would say it sounds creepy, whatever, right? Okra is like, you are what you eat, right? So okra is slimy. So anything that's slimy, guess what? Okra will deal with it, including mucus. Okra is going to deal with mucus membranes. So when you're dealing with that stuff, the slimy stuff or whatever, so if you're sick, right, a lot of times you get sick because you got too much mucus. Also, though, if you're having problems producing mucus, so it's like an ulcerative in a sense. If you're having problems producing mucus, guess what you need to do? You probably need to have something that's slimy. By the way, aloe vera is a little slimy. So that would help with that too. So I'm trying to be nice with the language. But yeah, so you probably be able to deal with some of that for sure. But yeah, but okra, anything that's green is it has magnesium. That's the only reason why. So that's why, like, when you see evergreen trees and other trees during the winter, and you see like a spruce, or pine tree, something like that, or evergreen trees, and then you see that the oak tree is going brown and it's turning colors and stuff, but the evergreen tree still stays green. That's because the evergreen tree is designed to contain magnesium, right? So the evergreen tree is designed to maintain magnesium, so you'll be fine as far as your magnesium is concerned, right? So magnesium is something that we need. That's why I don't have my copper. I usually have a copper cup or a copper mug with me, but normally you'll see me with copper. I drink out of copper at least twice a day, and make sure I hold water in the copper all day, because that's going to help with the copper helps to make sure the magnesium is stronger. The magnesium makes sure that my digestive enzymes are stronger, up to 300 and something of them in my body. And so if my digestive enzymes are strong, that means I can eat better and get certain things in and out of my body better, because I can digest better, because I don't only digest with my stomach, I digest with my whole body. My waste products don't just come out of my stomach, they come out of my whole body. If you sweat, that's waste, right? Like, people who don't sweat, they have a problem with waste that builds up. So one of the reasons you should work out is not just to lose weight, it's to lose waste. You see that? You see that? So you're not eating. You're not trying to digest food correctly and get rid of it so that you can just go number 2 or number 1. You're trying to get rid of it because you got to sweat some stuff out. Like you're trying to get rid of some of the stuff, but some of the stuff has got to be sweated out. Some of the stuff has got to be like sometimes you can tell when your digestive system's not working correctly, or when you have an emergency situation that your body's trying to get rid of something real fast. Like when you guys see like things that turn into pus on your arms, or you'll see things that like you're like, man, there's like weird goo, or you have a pimple. A lot of people just once again because we have artificial intelligence, people that are trying to sell you on certain things have created this new version of something. But the reality is, when you have those pimples or things, that's actually your body trying to get rid of waste. There's an emergency situation going on. Your body's like, I got to get rid of this. Your body's trying to digest it for whatever reason. It's not making its way through the digestive tract, right? Your body's like, we got to get rid of this. And so a lot of people who think that you just have pimples. Now, once again, here's one of the lies they tell you. They tell you that because you're a teenager, this is what they tell us. They say that because you're a teenager, because you hit puberty, you're supposed to have acne. That's not true at all. But think about what's going on with teenagers. It's not just hormonal issues, which, by the way, can be the cause of some of the stuff for sure, right? But it's not supposed to be as bad as what it gets to, where some people's faces be looking like it's crusted overnight. And I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. I'm saying really, like it'd be crusted overnight. Like you're like, how in the world? And then it gets real. And a lot of sisters, y'all get these black bumps or black marks and things, and you think that that's, you don't even, sometimes you don't even know what it is. Sometimes you just like, well, as women get older, they get it. You're actually dealing with, a matter of fact, a lot of times when you have that, the woman's also having fibroid cysts simultaneously, right? But you're having an issue where you're having waste that's not able to get where it needs to get. You're having a waste issue. Not always, but you're having a waste issue most of the time, right? Your body needs to get rid of some of this stuff, or your body is having problems with digestion, or your body cannot digest everything because you're eating so often, or you're eating so in such a foreign fashion to the body that it's doing what it's necessary. See, the fibroid cyst normally is you got something inside you, and the body knows it's not supposed to be there, so the body actually tries to cover up the cyst. A lot of people don't get that. Your body actually tries to cover up the cyst. So your body is actually trying to heal itself, or tries to heal itself. It can't heal for some reason. It says, okay, well, I can't function unless I cover it up. Now, it's still not functioning correctly. It's become a functioning addict, if you will. It's becoming, hey, I've got this thing in me that shouldn't be in there. I've learned how to function. But eventually, because it's not supposed to be there, right, and it's still being fed by your body and things like that, now, guess what happens? Now you have the pain. Now you start bleeding different. Now you start having stuff that's popping up in your face. Now you're having waist issues. Because if one system in the body is not correct, then all systems in the body are not correct. Yes, we have multiple systems. You have the digestive system, the reproductive system, the circulatory system, the skeletal system. You have the endocrine system. You have the digestive system, right? You have all these different systems for sure, right? The central nervous system, et cetera. If I didn't say that one already. You have, 13, 14, 15 systems? You have all these systems, but if one system's out of whack, all systems are out. Matter of fact, if you're stressed out, you can't eat. What do I mean by that? Somebody says, I eat all the time. I eat because I'm stressed. No. Hear what I'm saying? You can't eat because technically you can't digest, at least not correctly. Just like a car or any kind of system, right? So just like a car, right? But so peep game, you can't digest food properly when you are stressed. And thank you, Zelda. Appreciate that. Right? You cannot digest food properly when you are stressed. I don't care what anybody tries to tell you. I don't care if anybody tries to tell you I'm lying, this and that, whatever. You cannot digest food properly when you are stressed. So what happens is the body doesn't know the difference between being chased by a bear, being yelled at, being jumped, or you can't afford to pay a bill. You don't like what your mother said to you. You're worried about your child at school. Your body doesn't know the difference between any of those. Your body just knows we're stressed. And when it's stressed, it begins to do something to take away what's natural, and it has to take on artificial things because it knows stress is artificial. I'm going to go into emergency mode. And when you're dealing with artificial intelligence, so much stuff, your body is always in survival mode. But those who only can survive never thrive. right? Fight or flight mode, right? Flight or flee, right? Your body is going into survival mode. And many of you, if you lived in survival mode so much that you don't even realize what it means to be outside of survival mode. Oh, you're fine, Rue. I don't even know what you're saying. No, honestly, I missed it. I apologize. Right? So you got to realize your body a lot of times is in survival mode, right? Your body is in survival mode. So what happens when you're in survival mode? Let's do this. If you're outside in the cold, it's below freezing. Let's say you're in 28-degree weather. It'll be all right at first. You might not even need a hat, this and that, or whatever. But let's say you're in 28-degree weather, right? And you don't have a jacket. You still function for a little bit. But what's going to begin to happen in your body? What's going to begin to happen in your body? Right? Your body's going to begin to go into emergency mode. It's stressed. So what do you think your body's going to do? Right? Your body's going to start, it's going to start stressing out. It's going to start doing certain things or whatever, but it's going to start realizing and say, wait a minute, why am I shivering? It's going to ask questions. Why am I shivering? Why is my nose running? Why are my eyes feeling the way that they do? Why is it that water is not flowing? I feel kind of dehydrated. Water's not really flowing. Right? It realizes something's wrong. So guess what happens? It starts to realize that your core temperature is going to be threatened. And it can't allow your core temperature to be threatened. So it starts to shut down. It's stressed. Now you can eat during this time. You can drink during this time. But your body will not digest any food because it's an emergency situation going on. And this is what your body will begin to do. You begin to get something called frostbite. Right? What is frostbite in the natural sense? Like if you touch something with another part of your body, it'll, you'll get burned. You'll get what's called freezer burn or whatever when you're too, close to something like that. But what will normally happen in nature is what? You get frostbite first in your fingers and your toes. Necrosis, right? Yeah, because the body, exactly. It thinks to itself, this is not necessary. What's necessary to the body? The heart needs to beat, lungs need to breathe, the nervous system needs to work in between those and the brain. And even the whole brain is not necessary. I just need to make sure the parts of the brain itself, the lungs to breathe and the heart to beat, are functioning. Everything else is not necessary. That's what the body starts going into. It goes into an artificial response because in its nature, it obviously is going to need the body to move at some point or else those things won't function. But the body, when it's stressed, it goes to an artificial response because that's not its nature. Right? So in its nature, it says, okay, I'm going to stop putting blood and therefore try to conserve as much temperature as I can in the core. I'm going to stop sending blood to the fingers and the toes. Then it says to the hand and the feet. Then it says to the arms and the legs, right? At this point, you just torso that's functioning, right? And then it says, okay, well, I do need to reproduce, but not right now. Reproductive system, shut that off, right? Testicular region frozen, right? Vaginal region. Those regions, which are supposed to be warm, by the way, cold. It makes decisions, right? And you get to a place where now, hey, only thing left. I need the heart, the lungs, and the medulla oblongata, basically. Might even mess around and stop functioning as far as the pineal gland. Because it doesn't deem it in its artificial circumstance, in the circumstance that it's not ready for, that's outside of its nature. It says, I'm going to do artificial things. I'm going to shut off as much of myself as possible to survive. And hence is the point of today's message. How much of yourself have you been shutting off in order to survive? How many of you have been going through a spiritual necrosis, a psychological death, right? How many of you are going through stress to where your body has been turning off pieces of itself for so long because you need to survive? Hence, that's what we're talking about today, right? I love all the stuff that came out of today. Thank you guys for being on today. Appreciate you on all the platforms. You're with us on the podcast, one of the two TikTok platforms, YouTube, Facebook. Here, hence is the crux. Here's where the rubber meets the road. How much of you have you continued to allow to be shut off to the point to where now you're almost not even thinking for yourself? You're in an artificial situation. It's too cold. There's not enough warmth in your community. There's not enough love in your heart. There's not enough brothers and sisters out there that reach out to you. You said about 8 years. Wow. Right? Like there's time. See, the trauma started, and when the trauma started, your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul, etc., they don't function randomly. Somebody said 10 years. Wow. Right? Think about a people who lost knowledge of themselves and were allowed to be free, but only through the prism of the person who turned down the temperature to make them that cold in the first place. How many generations have continued to cut themselves off from themselves so that they can live to a point to where even their brain, their culture, their spirit, their mind is shut off, because the only thing they're trying to do is make sure that the heart beats and that they can breathe, the lungs work. And by the way, that's still death, because at a certain point, you got to be fed. So now here's the problem. While you're brain dead and your body's laying there, even if somebody's taking it from the cold and put it in somewhere else, y'all should be grateful for the fact that we took you out of that and we have you in America now. Even if somebody removes you from a dead situation, you should be grateful that we let you vote. You should be grateful that we let you take medication. Even if you remove me from a cold, callous, despicable place. And thank y'all for the love, appreciate it. Even if you remove me from these places, I'm still, hear what I'm saying? Even if you remove me, I'm still in a position where we got a problem. Because even though you remove me from those callous locations, those cold locations, I still got to be fed. And so who's there to feed the brain dead body? After it's cut off the limbs because they got frostbitten. You can't have frostbitten limbs just stay there. The rest of the body will start dying. It's like with gangrene, you got to cut that thing off. I mean, you can, I guess. I mean, you keep it around, but at some point you got to get rid of it. It's painful. So now the only thing left is, while your brain dead, somebody else has to feed you intravenously, because you can't survive. So if somebody's going to keep watching you and they're going to keep you in this position, they got to keep you alive. Guess what they got to do? They feed you, but they're feeding you things artificially. And a lot of us have gotten to a place where we're just kept alive. And how you doing, Brother Jeremy? Right? How you doing, LaFleur? A lot of us have been kept alive. Just keep me alive. Just give me a little bit more money. Just keep me alive. Just whisper sweet nothings in my ear from time to time. Just keep me alive. Just be better than the dude that used to beat me. Just keep me alive. But that's not your nature. Like I said, we could go into all the other stuff, and there's tons of stuff we could have gone deeper into as far as what we consider to be AI nowadays. But artificial intelligence started when you started identifying with something that just keeps you alive. See, the artificial intelligence that keeps your job, that takes your job from you, it keeps you alive. Anybody ever worked at an Amazon warehouse? They got a big machine, and these big ones, the state-of-the-art ones, they got this huge machine in there. And I'm not going to tell certain things because I'm not supposed to tell you exactly how it works, right? But they got this huge machine up in that piece. And that thing does so much stuff to just tell packages where to go. They still need humans to make sure the stuff gets done and placed and taken care of and ran here and there. But the machine basically tells everything where it's going throughout the whole warehouse. So there's a lot of stuff where they don't even need a job, but it keeps you alive because everybody gets everything through Amazon. So the same people who cut you off from the job to make technology better are the same people that just keeping you alive, and you pay them to do it. You love for them to do it. I think the time is done for things that just keep us alive. I think the time is done for messages, and I don't care what your title is, bishop, pastor, helot, whatever. I don't care what your title is, rabbi. I think the time has come for us to stop listening to stuff that just keeps us alive. Is your journey greater than just living? That's why Yeshua said the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that you might have life. Well, wait a minute. You came that I might have life and more abundantly, but I'm already alive. Why would I need life? Because you wake up every day and you go take a shower and you break your fast. And maybe you do something with your children, maybe you don't. And then you go to your job and you do the same thing there. And then you come back home. Maybe you talk to your child a little bit again. And then you go to sleep. Somewhere in there, you use the bathroom and you do the same thing over and over again. You have become a zombie. You have become artificial intelligence. You have become the very thing that you say you hate. You live artificially. And they told you when you were a child in school, when they started getting you ready for this pipeline system they had, they told you already, hey, give up on your dreams. What is it that you want to be when you're young? Oh, you want to be somebody who speaks to crowds of many. Well, that sounds nice, but that's not what we're going to give you a degree in, because we need you to work in the field. So here's what we're going to teach you. Now, in other countries, believe it or not, if you go to other countries, go to Switzerland, right? My wife, I can speak on that because my wife was an exchange student over there and lived over there, years. So go to Switzerland. Whatever your desire is, you go to school for your desire. And your school, if you do what you're supposed to, then they'll let you go to high school, because after what we would call junior high school, you don't really need no more school like that for real, right? You need to start getting ready for going to the next level. But if you're going to go to high school, you have to earn the opportunity for that. And especially if you're going to go to college. Now, everybody can go to college there for free, but you got to really be on it. You got to prove to them, yeah, you're going, like, if we keep taking care of your education, you're going to do exactly, what's necessary, right? Like, you're going to actually come here, you're going to be on time, you're going to do your homework assignment, you're going to learn this stuff, you're going to speak properly, you're going to address people with respect. You're not just going to come in here any kind of way. And a lot of us can't handle that. A lot of us are not in a position where we think we can handle it. Like a lot of you, right? And what they do. So let's say you want to be a dancer. In America, they would say, "Oh, that's cute." That's not what we teach. There, they would put you in dancing school. Now, in dancing school, you still need to learn math, but do you need to learn all the math that everybody else does? Well, no, because you're not going to be building buildings. You know what I'm saying? So you need to have some math together to make sure that you can have your life together. And a lot of them still know more math than what you do, believe it or not. But they'll give you enough stuff. And then they say, okay, focus on your dancing though. You need to dance. You need to learn this. You need to make sure your positions are correct, right? You need to make sure that your weight is correct. You need to make sure that your eating habits are correct. You need to make sure, so you need to learn nutrition. You need to learn this. They give you certain things for school, and right? And then you don't necessarily get homework like that. Not on the level that y'all get, because you need to let your brain rest on. Just like when you go to the gym and you get some resistance, then you need to rest so that your body has a chance to be able to catch up, so that now you can go and get something again. Americans are the ones that got this weird philosophy of, let me go to the gym every single day. Well, other countries do too, right? But let me go to the gym and let me work out every day and let me do the same thing and let me not rest. And I need to be there 7 days a week. No, you don't. Right? What is your calling, in essence, is what they're teaching. The best schools in the world do that. What's your calling? What are you called to do? Okay, let's deal with that. And if you want to learn things, you can do what everybody else does. Get an encyclopedia. Right? Back in the day, go to a library. People don't even know those exist anymore. Right? La biblioteca. Es aquí. It's still here. Right? Go. If you want to do some stuff, research. Parents are involved in their children's lives more. Right? Go to Paris France. Right? Paris Français. Right? Go to France. They ain't working 40 hours a week over there. Because that'll mess you up. Why would we have you work 40 hours a week? But the French in their colonies, they made them work 80 hours a week. It's getting to a place where it's getting scary. You know why it's getting scary? Not so much for us, but for the powers that be, right? For those of us that know how it's supposed to be, it shouldn't be scary. You should be excited that stuff's about to break down. Now you got to be prepared. That means the way you live is about to break down, but you got to have something that's not artificial. When the artificial system, remember, the United States is not a country, it's a corporation. When this system breaks apart, if you have your life based on the system, it's gonna fall apart. But you should have something to fall on that's foundational. So when this system breaks apart, that was a construct of what proper interpretation. You should know the interpretation. How do you interpret the ground? We always talk about some people can read, some people can't. You know, there's some people that can't read a book, but they can read the ground. They can read the ground and be like, oh, okay, we're going to be able to grow corn here. We're going to be able to grow. Matter of fact, they might give the three sisters to you. They might have corn and beans and squash. Put them together. Be able to feed a whole community. You got to have something foundational that when this system falls apart, because it's falling apart as we speak, because it's not real, it's artificial. It's never been real. It's been something that's been breaking apart slowly. See, we keep looking at it as though America's expanded. No, Rome fell apart. And then Germany tried to get pieces of it together, but they fell apart. And then France and England and others, they tried to get pieces of it, but they fell apart. Right? Normandy used to be there. It fell apart completely. Right? It used to be the British Empire. We tried to say they came from the Roman Empire that fell apart, and they fell apart. And now they fell apart into different things. And so now you got the United States of America. And now what's happening? You're starting to see it looks like it's falling apart. First of all, it's falling apart because people see it for what it is. So it's even mentally falling apart. Did I hear about the passing of Dr. Patar? No, I don't know. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry, Dr. King. Is it Dr. Ken G. Kirby or Dr. King Kirby? Not sure. But yeah, I don't know. I apologize. The name seems somewhat familiar, but to be honest with you, I don't know. I'd have to maybe see the face or see some of the literature attached. But by the way, if you're on Kofi _40, if you're on TikTok, if I'm looking at you right now, we're getting ready to do our shout out. We're running out of time, and I got to get in. I also running out of battery life, so I'm gonna have to switch over to only on Kofi _43 where I'm looking now. So if you guys are here, if you look at my name up here, if you add the number 3 to it and search there, if you want to finish up with this, you can feel free to do so over there. All right, but thank you guys for being on. Appreciate you. Right, and we're getting ready to take our leave. So I think we've been successful now at being able to kind of get the point across. Once again, thank you for being on. Appreciate you guys. Everybody else is still with us. I think we got the point across. Praise y'all. I think we got it, right? We comprehend the importance of realizing the system is sus. And even when it comes to artificial intelligence did not just start because, it didn't just start because there's computer chips. It didn't just start because of computer chips, right? Artificial intelligence is because we've been dealing with artificial stuff too much. Right? We've been dealing in the artificial so much that we don't look for the natural. Right? There are, and I'm not telling you what I made up, I'm telling you what it is. There are artificial apes. There are apes that are considered to be persons. Right? But you think that a person is a human being. You don't know what a person is defined as. I'm not saying, by words or just by proper etymology. I'm talking about by law. Right? You don't know that there are men and women that have married horses and dogs. And there's probably way more than that. I just don't know them. Right? I haven't studied them. There are dogs and horses that have been mayors of towns. They've been voted in by the people. Sometimes we can say, playfully, but a lot of times, no, they actually make decisions. How they make decisions is foreign to me, but they voted them in, right? Right. I'm just saying, you got to comprehend, like there are robots out there that walk and talk. Well, they can't quite walk and talk like you, at least not yet, but they're known to be fake people, and they've been given citizenship in countries. Right? The robot is given citizenship, but the person has to get the green card. I'm just trying to tell you all the stuff that they're telling you. The system is sus. They've gotten us to take away enough of ourselves long enough to where we deal with the artificial so much that we don't even look twice to see. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I have no hate in my heart for LGBTQ plus people or a person or persons. I have no hate in my heart for LGBTQ plus persons. I have no hate in my heart for them. I have no heaven or hell to put any of you in, even if we disagree with on something. That being said, you've never thought about, is a lesbian considered by law to be a person? I didn't say, can you not be a human? I said, you've never thought to yourself, by law, can you actually be a person? Because no, if the answer is no, then it means your rights can't be protected. I didn't say I had that I hate your humanity if you're gay. What I want you to comprehend is, if you are gay, have you ever looked up the law to see if you are identified as a person? I didn't say I hate you if you're bisexual or transsexual, right, or queer, but have you ever looked up the law to see if that's considered to be a person? This is what I need you to get to. Stop dealing in the artificial, deal in the natural. There's natural law at stake, which means that you are at stake if you're not careful. Who are you? Are you a switchboard operator? Wow, cool. Right? Who are you? It doesn't matter where you are, it matters who you are. Who are you? The law deals with who you are. Even dealing with a person, right? If you're not dealing with a natural person, a regular person, right? Not a natural person. A natural person is who you are. But the regular person who you could deem to be, or even the artificial person, that's just a status. And sometimes it doesn't even mean that you're dealing with male or female. So, because sometimes females don't have rights because of how they identify themselves. That's how the law works. So I just want you to know this, right? We're not coming at anybody. I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. I'm not trying to tell you guys you don't know what you're talking about. I want you to recognize that you've been duped. The system is sus, and the system works. Because unlike our systems that are breaking down, because we won't be part of a system that is eternal for all of us, unlike those systems that we're fighting over and trying to see who's in charge of, their system doesn't break down because their system works exactly like it's supposed to. So I challenge you, study more of their system. I challenge you, see how it works. You said, how do you know how to identify yourself? First of all, know who you are. Once again, not where you are, who you are. Like, who are you? Who is your nation? That's a great question, and I don't have time to go too deep into it, Tiffany. I apologize. How you doing, Kenzo? Thanks for being on. Right, but who are you? Right, a people. If you are a people, if you don't know this terminology that I was using, person by definition is either a natural person, that means the real human you, or an artificial person, the fake version of you, right? And the plural of person is not people. The plural of person is persons with an S on the end. Persons is the plural of person. How you doing, Reginald? If I didn't say so already. So persons can either be a natural, real person, or fake person, or natural persons, or fake persons, right? Because a fake person can be an African American. You didn't know that, because it's not considered to be a person in Western law. A black person in Western law is a fake person. A colored person in Western law is a fake person. A Negro, which could be indigenous or African American, so to speak, is a fake person in Western law, right? Now, an American, the original American, is a copper colored person indigenous to the Americas, but an American Indian, what is that? You see? A Native American, we can kind of swing that in there because that's kind of saying the indigenous American or the original American. But you got to know who you are. Who are you talking about? Because when they say black, they don't think like you think. Now, in our culture, if we go to another place or whatever, even if it's our own nation or even if it's our own homestead, our own land, if we say we black, that's different. We can write out what we mean by black. What is a real person? A real person is your authentic self. It's not your straw man. Look at the definition of a straw man. A straw man is a fake person. A straw man is a front. A straw man is something that a corporation creates to be able to use to be able to take ownership over something without having to deal with the real person. Even in property law. In property law, if you own, let's say in property law, I'm gonna go ahead and do some business with you. I'm gonna buy some land, but I'm gonna buy the land through um, Kofi Ofori Loves Everybody Incorporated. When I buy the land through Kofi Ofori Loves Everybody Incorporated, that is a straw man because technically I own the land, but I'm saying on paper, this is who you do business with. So if anything happens, you can't really put it on me, but you're still going to do business with me. But technically, you're not doing business with me. You're doing business with the straw man, right? I've created the LLC. I've created the corporation so that you would deal with the corporation as a fake person, an artificial person, rather than deal with me as the real person, the natural person, right? Now, however, if you deal with people, people by definition are a nation, right? People are a nation. So what nation are you part of, right? That we, the people of the United States. Sounds great until you realize that when they wrote that, only 6% of the population of the United States were considered to be people, which means that only 6% of the people that were here, including slaves, including women, including poor folk, they were, right, including other people from other places, including indigenous, etc., right? They were not considered to be people. If you were not a rich white slave landowner or somebody who had enough money that it didn't matter, because there were some people who had drops of black blood, you know, the one drop rule and stuff, or some people who just had enough money, it didn't matter. But for the most part, most people were not involved in it. That's why women were not people. They were not part of the nation. Therefore, they were not allowed to vote. That's why you asked for the suffrage movement, so you could suffer through what other people suffered through. Because whatever your nation suffers through, it becomes your suffering. That's why a lot of people who identify as U.S. citizens instead of non-citizen nationals, in other words, you want to be part of the public government, the fake corporation of the United States, which by definition, United States Code definition, it is not a country, it's a corporation. So since you want to be part of the corporation called the United States, you are willing to suffer through the things they suffered through, which is why their taxes have become your taxes. You said the ones that own it all are in a certain color. Yeah, that's why I said it. Sometimes it depends, right? Now, in the system that we're in, that's a big part of it. We're not gonna act like that's not a part of it at all. But yeah, sometimes the people that are up above, they're not. It's not as always simple as black and white. That's part of the thing they get us to argue about, right? But long story short, you got to figure out who you are. Who do you identify as? If you identify as an American, which kind of American? If you identify as a U.S. citizen, that's one thing. If you identify as a Californian, you know, you can do that on your birth certificate too. Or with your birth certificate, through that, you can actually mess around, even though that's a fake version of you, you can actually tell that change it on your passport. Excuse me. This is why we teach some of this stuff off the stuff, because some of this stuff I couldn't even explain it, and we get cut off when I start going too deep into something. Right. But I'm just saying, like, you have to know who you are. You have to know who you are. And watch this. If you know who you are, it's coming a time. Like we said plenty of times before, are you ready when this stuff really comes down and it crumbles? Are you prepared? Like, I'm trying my best to do what it is. My prayer, my hope, my goal is that once we get this land together, we still will be able to come out and be on YouTube and on Facebook and on TikTok and on the podcast and all that stuff. Like, I would love for that to be the case. I really would love for that to be the case. The reality is that what if they cut us off? I'm still prepared to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if they make it to where, because they're not going to do it just with Fed now, just in the first couple of years, but they're going to get rid of fiat cash, and sooner or later, y'all all going to have to go through their cryptocurrency. Are you willing to go through that? If so, you signed up for some stuff that you just going to have to be controlled in and be okay with that. Even if you're not okay, you're going to find a way. If not, are you prepared to be like, hey, yeah, I might have to be on some land that's my own. And maybe I have to have some stuff in place to where it's paid off, even if it's only paid off for 10, 20 years in advance. At least it's paid off to where I ain't got to worry about that for 20 more years. I'll study and research and do what I got to do. But first couple of years, I might just have to be cut off from everything and be okay. or get with some like-minded people who are okay. This stuff is coming. It's been coming. People have been saying it for a long time. Now it's here. Now everybody's freaking out. Like, what do we do? What do we do? Stay the course. If you've been doing the right thing, stay the course. Have faith. Yeah, these things were foretold. Whether you want to talk about biblically foretold, whether you want to talk about the people like Cloud Anderson been telling you this for a long time, whether you want to talk about people who are into sovereignty been telling you this. This stuff been happening for a long time. It's been coming, and just be ready. Put some of the stuff aside. If you're doing well, start putting stuff aside. Because even when they get rid of fiat cash, or so they say, there'll be people out there that still want fiat cash. So you'll still be able to pay some people, right? If you have some, save it up. Or even if they say, hey man, crypto, get some crypto. Don't worry about what the value of it is. Now study to see what kind of stuff it is, what the crypto is. Make sure you have your crypto wallet, all that stuff. Know how to have a crypto wallet that's not plugged into the system at all times. You got to learn some of this stuff, right? But hey, if there's people out there that got Bitcoin and you got Bitcoin, they'll trade with you. You just have to have something that's worthy of power, some kind of currency, something that somebody says, okay, I can use that in some place in my life. Right? Even if this is not my goal, this is not my desire, this is not my vision, but let's say even if stuff is a little far behind and we don't have it where all the structure is on there, I guarantee you the land that we're going to be getting and the way it's going to be designed and stuff, if we have to, we'll make sure everybody got some heavy duty tents. That's how your people used to live anyways. You forgot that you were in the wilderness and you went from tent to tent. You forgot that some of your African nations and some of your native indigenous nations to the Americas used to be fine going to teepees and doing stuff like that. And they were okay, able to survive. I'm just saying, if you got to, I'm not saying that's the way it's got to be. I'm just saying, if that had to be it for a little bit for you to be able to get back on your feet, you do what you got to do. You're strong. Prepare yourself now. Don't be so afraid that once this system ceases to exist, that because you can't exist underneath their systemic oppression, that now you won't be able to do anything. You know what I'm saying? You're strong. When we meet together in September 29th through October the 6th, and we out there in the tents, you're going to see that life is not actually that bad. And some of y'all will be there for the whole week. Some of y'all might be there 2 days, 3 days, whatever. But you're going to find out, wow, okay, we can do a lot of stuff. And we don't, like we'll be on live and stuff like that. And we'll, you can check in with people and call people. We're not going to say you can't use communication at all. We're going to have stuff you can plug into and all that. Right. But you're going to find really simple, like after a couple of days, you'll be like, I don't even know if I want to call anybody for real like that. I don't even know. Like this stuff that happened with me. I was like, and I had to do the lives, but outside of live session, I was fine just fishing. I was fine. And I'm not even that great at fishing. I don't even do that great with the reel. I have to actually take the fishing line and connect it to a stick because I'm actually not that great with the whole way that people do fishing and stuff. Nowadays, I take the twine, put it on a little stick, put the bait on there, get the little bait ball and all that. My son and I running around, playing tag, foraging with my wife, sitting down on a bench and just looking over the water. Like looking over the water is like watching television to me. If I go to the beach, I can just look at the water all day. Just be out in the sun looking at the water all day. I can do that all day. Like I'm telling you, when you get into a place of peace, especially when you know how to deal with the elements, especially the place that we were choosing, there's not going to be any animals like that around. Like, oh yeah, this is peaceful. This is bliss. So I'm just saying, you'd be surprised at what it is that you can do when you separate from the system. But once again, we're so much into the artificial. We're thinking, what if I didn't have, like, look, and maybe and it's a blessing. Some of us have been here, done that with our children too. Some of us been there, done that. There's been times I didn't know where I was going to lay my head at night. My babies always, praise God, they never had to sleep outside, but sometimes I had to sleep outside. Sometimes I worked 2 jobs and still, because I couldn't really afford a place to make sure I took care of them and me at the same time, I'd have to like sleep in an elevator of metro stations, of train stations and stuff, hoping nobody caught me. Having to clean up the piss first, and sometimes somebody, urinated all over the elevator floor, and having to clean it up first to make sure that I could clean on, so that I could and then let it dry. And then after it dried, literally sleeping on the elevators and went up and down through the night, freaking out every time it did, hoping that somebody wasn't coming into work and would catch me. Sleeping in bathrooms of some of the places that I worked at right? Being the one to shut it down, shut down the whole place, and having to sleep on the bathroom on the floor, right? But once you've been there, you like I'm not afraid of that. Now that's not what I speak over my family. That's not what I speak over anybody here. I'm just telling you, I'm not afraid of that anymore. Because I was doing some of what I'm doing now. Now I wasn't online yet, but I was doing stuff that I'm doing now. I'm speaking like I'm speaking now, even if not that many people cared. I was doing that stuff when I was out there. Wasn't a great husband all the time. Didn't know if my marriage was going to survive. Me not being a great husband. Had to get myself together. Right. In the meantime, while doing that, guess what? Still had to be on. Still had to make sure I was helping others. Still had to grow. So I'm not going to sit here and say I got a prophetic word and this is exactly what's going to happen tomorrow and this is exactly how the system's going to go down. This is exactly what America is going to get. I don't know. I know what the word tells me though. It says that it's time to separate. I didn't even say segregate. I said it's time to separate. So that's my goal. Separate. There's certain things that must be done by a certain time. Time to separate. Here's what it is. It's time to separate. No reason not to separate. It's time to separate. And as separation starts here, then it starts with our virtuals. It's bled into our virtual. It's bled into now us calling each other, checking on each other. It's bled into us doing meetups, not whether I'm there or not. Right now, it's time for it to start turning into we're meeting up for the holy days, and of course, we're gonna have a place at some point to where if everything falls apart, we can go there, but also we can flip that thing. We can grow our own food there and sell that. We can do events there and sell that. We can make sure that we have homes there. You see what I'm saying? Like it's getting to a place where now it's time. It's time for us to move. Right? The separation starts in the mind. And if somebody says that, oh, you're a communist for that or whatever, you don't know what a communist is. But if that's what you feel you need to do is to demean me, it's not going to stop my resolve. I'm on, con, yeah, con. I'm on. We touch and agree, right? We touch and agree. So that being said, thank y'all for being on. Appreciate you. Y'all take care of yourselves today. I will see you later, probably about 7:45-ish. If you have class with us tonight, Sovereignty 1, 8:30 p.m. Eastern New York time, 9:15 p.m. Eastern New York time for Sovereignty 3, 7:45 p.m. for on Kofi_42 here on TikTok. And we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Please check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And we thank you so much for supporting her business, which is the business of making sure the diaspora is healthy. The tincture of the month is still ageless, amongst many other tinctures that she has or natural medicines that she has. We'll have some other stuff on the shout out if you're with us on TikTok. If you want to learn more about what we do or how to get in contact with us about some of the stuff, whether it be for life coaching, marital coaching, classes, whatever the case might be, meetups, etc. People that might be able to help you and contact you as well. And you can even ask more questions because I'm just one person. I might not be able to get to you all the time. But we thank you guys for being on. I apologize. Is this, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right. Tayanodia? I feel like I messed that up. But thank you for being part of the community. Appreciate you. So thank you guys for being on. If you want to hang around a little bit on TikTok to see the stuff come up on the screen as the music plays, we would love for you to do so. We appreciate your heart. Thank you so much for being part of what we're doing, and we look forward to continuing to grow together. That being said, thank you everybody, whether you're on with us on different platforms all over the place, all over the world. We appreciate your presence, and we hope to be able to talk to you guys very soon. We're on, if you don't know, by the way, we're on every day. 8 a.m. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I say that, if you're in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Delaware, maybe Massachusetts, and maybe Rhode Island, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the time frame from all those places. We're looking at joining up kind of on the border of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. From what I've been told, even if you need to get there by public transportation, should be able to get there. We're looking at doing a meetup on Saturday and Sunday, both at 4 p.m. Eastern New York time, especially on Sunday, if you can make that one, or to any other one, because that's going to be our day, the day of Pentecost. The day of Pentecost, we're going to have the Zoom link for you guys, and we'll make sure that you we'll put it on all the platforms so you can click on that Zoom link if you would like to attend. If you don't get that or a Google Calendar invite, make sure you reach out to us. We'll have that information up soon. If you're on TikTok or YouTube, you can just look in the description with the video and how you can connect with us. But we'll have on these platforms a place that you can go, click, and make sure that you can be part of the community. But if you'd like to be able to come, feel free to text us, right? Email us at the information that's going to pop up. And then that way, if you want to come by and hang out with us you can do so on this Saturday or Sunday coming up. Also this Saturday, sisters, at 7 p.m. Eastern New York time, I believe you're supposed to be having your women's meeting. I don't know how that's going to work with the meetup, but I believe it should be fine, because after 3 hours or so, then Donovan Mai should be able to go somewhere, do the meetup. And if you guys are still meeting up with us or whatever, or want to attend or whatever, but you guys probably at that point might want to start going back to your different destinations. But we'll be there this Saturday, this Sunday. And so that link will be up. There's something I feel like I need to say. Why did I come back to it? Well, if the Holy Spirit needs us to address it, we'll address it. But anyways, reach out to us if you want more information about that. Once again, we appreciate you. And thank you guys for being on so much. Thank you guys for being on Early Riser Bible Study Session so much. And we'll see you today. But if it's your first time being with us, we're on every we're on every day at 8 a.m. Eastern New York time. We're on every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. And sometimes on Kofi_40, the original page, I come on randomly throughout certain days. But we're on every day, 8 a.m. Eastern New York time. We're on every evening at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time, except for Wednesdays. Wednesdays is my day off. All right. But even on those days off, if you join us on YouTube or you go to somebody else's TikTok channel, somebody will be on to give you a message as part of this community as well. So hopefully you enjoyed what you got. We thank you so much. Peace be upon. We hope you guys so much. We appreciate you so much. And we look forward to you guys doing great things and continuing in great things so much. So we appreciate you. We're honored. And we ask for you guys to take care. Once again, there'll be information on the screen. If you want to contact, reach out to us and we'll get information to you if you're on TikTok. So thank you again. We'll explain how that works in just a second. But once again, thank you to everybody as part of the family. We appreciate you so much for spending some time. You did not have to spend it with us. And so since you decided to, we appreciate you. Even you just viewing today, it helps us so much with so many different things we do around the world. That being said, thank you so much for being on. As always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. And until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again, please remember as always, Yahshua, that you are loved, you are necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, in you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Shalom. Peace. To everybody who's still on TikTok, thank you so much. So this is how the shout out works. If you've never done it with